Jon, J.T.
Welcome to
Imperial Golf. Yeah. Welcome to the show. How are you?
On location, yeah.
You know, it's almost been a year since we last. Yeah, wow. It was a year.
You look no different.
You don't.
Great. I might have been wearing the same thing that I wore last time. I don't even know.
It has been a year. Holy cow.
Yeah, it was like early December that we did it. The last time. So it was, 2019.
We had a blast, by the way. It was
that was so much fun.
Was it even with one microphone for the two of you?
That was weird.
Yeah, two guys, one mic.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Not
Thankfully,
cool.
that did not blow up on the internet.
Not yet.
No.
Yeah. I haven't put it up there yet. And we didn't get the video to work last time. So this time, if it doesn't work,
fingers crossed.
It's still my fault.
It's still.
Yeah.
I wondered what happened with that. Now I know.
Yeah. The memory card ran out. So,
okay.
Yeah. That was when we were starting to get serious about actually doing a podcast. So, but yeah, how the heck have you guys been? What has it been like in this COVID pandemic? Take us back to the beginning, March a little bit of what you guys have done, what it's been like, what you've seen, I'm just here to listen.
So I can give a little, I guess, a quick backstory on how everything changed.
Yeah,
and
please.
Very violently changed.
Yeah.
It was, we were chugging along in February, and March really, right, was when everything went down.
Yeah.
Remember the date? It was like the 23rd maybe or something like that.
March 12th is when they canceled the Big 12 tournament.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were about a week later. So
Yeah.
And that's when the mandates went in that, that businesses would shut down, and we didn't really know how long. It was kind of a hope of like, well, maybe a couple weeks, get a little bit of a breather. And it ended up being like 5.5 weeks. It was pretty brutal, actually.
Yeah, I can remember back when it was like everyone just needs to go in their house for like 2 weeks and it'll all be good. We'll all emerge and it'll be gone. And no, it hasn't.
Turns out it is the apocalypse. So
very much so. Zombies are coming.
Yeah. So I mean, getting shut down for 5.5 weeks kind of makes you rethink everything. I mean, like, not to be dramatic, like we're an established business. We've been going 6 years.
I don't think you're saying anything that businesses weren't saying.
Oh yeah. And a lot of businesses did get shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, we're honestly blessed. We're absolutely blessed because we have a client base now that's pretty large and always growing, but like lots of return clients, which really helps, and people that want to support us. And that's kind of humbling when you come back and you're just like bang, like busy again. And it was they were itching.
That's what they wanted to be here. Yeah.
And so what we did, not knowing we were going to be closed for near 6 weeks, we kind of shut down lessons 1 week at a time. Yeah. Because we didn't want to be like, hey, we're not going to be here for a month and then get people thinking that we're not going to open again.
Yeah.
So it was like, let's just take it 1 week at a time. And if you have lessons, we'll cancel them. And we'll just kind of, if you're scheduled next week, plan on it. And if we have to cancel it, we'll cancel it.
Yeah, we'll contact you and we'll figure it out.
Pretty much.
We wanted to make it very clear that we're not going anywhere. Yeah. And we weren't. Like, I mean, we were established enough that I wasn't too worried, even if we were shut down 5 or 6 weeks. And, within reason. Yeah. Right? It's like, not worried.
Yeah. Worried, but not worried. Yeah.
Couldn't
Everything's
sleep.
Fine. Everything's fine.
Like, no sleep. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Is Jon okay? I don't know.
Yeah. Bottle of Jameson a night. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But it was stressful, but at the same time, this weird relief. And it actually gave GT a little time too, I think, to get caught up with family stuff, and they're getting a house ready. Actually, I'll let him talk about that if you want to talk about it. But and that it was this weird reset that actually helped us, in some ways. And
good,
so other
putting
than
the positive on it.
Yeah, other than losing 6 weeks of business, and not to sound, in any way entitled, but like our business was, capable of surviving that, partly because our clients are so long term, and it's not like a retail store. We're not relying on daily income, which really helps. So you have people that are committed to you, and then, if the moment you get to start up again, it's just kind of like business as usual. Yeah. So
and I would think, but I don't think this is actually the case with you all, is end of March, early April might be a downturn for you guys, but you guys do so well with your lessons that it probably wasn't. So I would think like people wouldn't be coming in, but you're very lesson based in your business model.
Right. And that time of year, that was my main concern after the first 2 weeks we were shut down, because I was like, okay, if we look over the last few years, March, April, May are some of our most profitable months from a lesson program standpoint because people are getting, men's golf kicks off for high schools, college programs are kicking off, their invitationals, the Masters traditional start date hits, which is kind of when the general public's like, hey, let's go play golf.
Yeah, we might mention we're recording this. It's Saturday of the Masters.
And so
life is good.
It is. It's a good day.
Yeah, John has the best view right now.
He does. He can see the TV.
This was strategic.
That was on purpose.
We're doing a podcast? I didn't even know that was a thing.
We're just chit-chatting.
I'm kind of walking.
There's a microphone in front of you.
He's got a comfortable chair and beer and a TV. He's fine.
I felt like I kept hearing my voice somewhere.
Yeah. It's interesting.
So, we shut down. And like John said, the cool part for me, at least, was because we had been, just grinding out lessons for a couple years, I got to kind of hit pause, and I got a 5 and a 2-year-old boy at home. And so I got to shift into like full-time dad mode for a while. And after 3 or 4 weeks, I was like, I'm ready to go back to teaching lessons. My wife is way better at that job than I am. I won't even pretend. But
turns out the 30 bobs are okay.
Right?
It's okay.
No kidding.
Sorry, Bobs. It's not personal. Yeah. We love you.
But like oftentimes these types of things happen in life. You get perspective. You kind of get to be like, no, you are blessed to be doing what you're doing. Because, had it gone on, another 3-4 weeks, who knows? But there were so many people that lost their jobs and their livelihoods, and we were just so fortunate that we were in a position where we were able to weather the storm, so to speak. And then, like John said, when we got back, it was like we'd never left. I mean, we had to kind of throttle our schedule a little bit to keep in line with the COVID restrictions. So, we've got 16 available appointments pretty much every day. We were only able to facilitate about 8 or 9 of those a day. Yeah. And that was just to build a buffer on each end of each lesson.
Completely unofficial and totally awkward because there wasn't like there's not like a standard for indoor golf instruction businesses. But I mean, they the social distancing and whatnot made it kind of interesting. As for the fact that we had to space appointments but the good thing about our business is we're kind of naturally distanced anyways.
Right.
That's big.
As silly as that may sound, I mean, but you're not like on top of people all the time. So it's not hard for us, but you're still, this is unprecedented. Like you don't know what the heck what your policy is going to be. So other than what the county and the health department tells you.
Yeah, we were all just kind of figuring it out as we went.
Yeah. Which
clearly they were too.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
whoops.
So we should try this. No, that didn't work. Oh, let's try this.
And now we're targeted.
Yeah.
Dang it.
But I mean, it was a totally unprecedented thing to go through, and still, it's not any different yet. We're wearing masks, like the virus is vamping back up again, and we weren't necessarily ready for this. They talked about it coming back in winter and being an issue again, but it looks like not including vaccine and whatnot, like it's here to stay for a bit. So we're gonna have to kind of get used to this way of life.
Well, and if you think about the vaccine works 90% effective, whatever is the one from Pfizer.
Yeah,
I think they said they could produce like 20 million or something a month or something like that.
Yeah.
You just calculate that. That's like it's like 18 months before everyone in the U.S. could have it. Which then there's all the stipulations about how they have to keep it cool for so long. It can this case that it comes in, there's like 900 vials. You can only open it twice a day for a minute. Yeah. And I mean, it's just crazy. So it's still not there yet.
You're going to get people that, I mean, don't want to take it.
Yes.
So I mean, I get it. It's a brand new vaccine.
Absolutely.
Like you're a little scared to shoot something into your body.
We all
you
should
don't
be.
know, but it's like it's a really tough scenario. Nobody really knows the answers.
I'll freely admit I'm skeptical about it. I mean, the science being what it is and how short term. And I mean, there's still things that we're learning about vaping and stuff.
Oh my gosh, yes, yeah.
So it's a bit of an odd time to be living through at the moment.
Of course, you're worried about that.
Vaping.
I don't vape, FYI. That is not, my goodness. No.
Sure you don't.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
After,
exactly. Yeah. I'll be watching those social media
after
posts.
every lesson in the shop.
This year, yeah.
Is that strawberry?
What is this weird smoke?
Ooh, minty.
Oh.
Yeah. So no, it's obviously taken a lot of getting used to, and I'm sure we're not alone. I mean, we're trying to just navigate this and figure it out as we go, but one thing we find is that it's pretty safe to say that like our clients are I don't want to say cavalier, but like I think people are so tired of it. They're just like they want some normalcy in their lives.
Absolutely.
So they're just
Who
like,
doesn't?
Right.
Yeah.
Golf instruction is one of
Yeah.
those things. It's like it just makes their life feel normal.
Yeah.
And golf, you know, just
Yeah.
going out to play. Like they want to be out there and playing. And that's the beauty of golf is it can survive something like this. Like pending financial crisis, like people can really go out and engage in golf. And we all know golf's more accessible than it probably ever has been.
It's amazing,
you know,
the
like,
numbers that they've seen. Like golf, I think it's Golf Data Tech or whatever was talking about some of the numbers comparing July to July or prior Julys. It was just astronomical how up it was.
Right.
I mean, like Sycamore Ridge, Swope Memorial, I just talked to them. They were up like 30%. You know, even being closed for,
no doubt.
you know, the 3 or 4 weeks that they were.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I mean, you know, what my question would be for that is, what happens when this goes away? Is it going to be, are we going to maintain this level of rounds? I mean, I don't think we are.
No.
I think, you know, you're lying to yourself if you think it will continue, but I would hope that some of these people that maybe tried it for the first time or got back into it, that they're kind of, okay,
You've
I missed
converted
this. Yeah.
people,
Yeah. I think
sure.
If there, you know, I hate to say it, there's some good that came out of it. I mean, hopefully got some more people into the game, but that's not what it should be about.
I think there's good that, I mean, not to get too broad, but there's good that came out of it beyond golf. I mean,
absolutely.
A lot of people got to reflect on their lives a little bit more, not to be too cheesy, but like they could kind of step back from like the craziness of just day-to-day work life and get more time with their families, and it's, you know, kind of find what's more important again, which is like just relationships.
Yeah, they like spent time together watching Netflix. And,
Netflix and chill. Oh, wait, no, that's not.
No, but I 100% agree with you, John. Like, I think, you know, there are a lot of people that, you know, not to be weird, but like my wife is like, started to read more than she ever did before. And, and that's a good, you know, it's great. And then, you know, I think there's a lot of people, marriages, the ones that are stronger for this are better.
No
there
question.
are some ones that are people struggling, and my heart goes out to them. But I think the couples and the marriages that sat down and said, we got to figure this out together. Those are the ones that, you know, people have really grown from that. I know I struggled at home when I left the office and I was back at my house. It was just, you don't realize social engagement is so important to like see people, to talk to people. And it really, with that first month, wasn't that bad. But then like the second and third month, like there's odd conversations you start having with yourself in your head, or you start talking to yourself and you're like, am I talking out loud?
That's just age.
That is true. I'm getting closer to 40. And I even did it like this morning. I was like doing something and I started talking, and I've like looked over and I'm like, did my wife just hear me say that?
No question.
I
think if your marriage survived COVID in 2020, that speaks volumes.
Volumes. I think you took time to reflect on what was important in life. I think a lot of people sat back and went, okay, there's some positive that comes out of this. Yes, it's challenging. It's, I mean, there's, you know, we don't have kids, my wife and I, and you know, kids, I can't imagine being home all day trying to work, having kids and stuff like that. I say that in a very negative way, but I think that that's a good thing for a lot of families. They were forgetting to spend time together and do
we
things.
Can't help but be, as golf instructors, like sometimes even naively positive.
Yeah.
If you understand that metaphor.
Right. Yes.
Like golf sometimes totally spits in your face.
Oh,
like it's
totally.
a hard game. So we're always, every day, we're trying to be the anchor and the rock for people that are like beating their head against the wall.
Well, yeah.
And it's just it's like, look, you got to look at the grand scheme here, right? Like you struggled. You had a bad practice session.
Right.
Sometimes we're cynical about it.
Well,
like, I don't know how to put this, but I don't really give a shit. You know?
Yeah.
Like, tough.
Yeah.
I've had like thousands of bad practice sessions.
Right.
So
move on.
Get over yourself.
Yeah. Move on. I'm not going to solve the problem in one swing. No, I completely get that. Cause like, you know, there's to relate it to golf 100% is like, you can hit the greatest shot in the world and have it go 2 or 3 yards too long. You hit it right at the pin, and then you're boop in the lake behind the green, you know, but everything about the swing was perfect almost, you know, right. But the outcome, well,
it's one of the, it is one of the few games where you can be absolutely perfect in your mind and end up in absolute disaster.
Oh my gosh.
And vice versa.
You know how many times golfers say to themselves, like, great shot in crappy outcome. I'm in a divot in the middle of the fairway.
Yeah.
You know?
And the other is equally possible.
Right.
Absolute terrible destruction of a golf shot right by the flagstick.
Yeah.
It's
or
like,
a hole in one.
Like I literally shanked it and
Yeah.
it bounced off a squirrel's head and it's on the green. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I'm
I'm
not saying John, like John Rahm's hole in one on 16 where he skipped it over the water. I know they do that all the time, but that's a real thing. Like someone hits a really bad shot and they get a hole in one for that.
Well,
and
neither one of us have one, and we know many students.
Whoops. Were we supposed to say that live?
Well, it's out now.
I have lots of hole outs, just no hole in ones.
I have a few.
Yeah.
The reality is, though, we know a lot of golfers who, I mean, if you want to measure it by handicap or whatever, they're not quite where we're at, and they've got a few or multiple, and that's kind of one of those luck things.
I have 7.
It's funny to share it. You do
shut
up.
I have 7. Yeah.
You have 7 hole in ones.
Yes.
Are you judging us now?
I am
very
done
much
with
so.
this podcast.
I could give you 3 and I could give you 2 and I could still have 2 myself.
You want to know what my luck
crazy.
for hole in ones is? Quick high school story.
Yes.
It's really fast.
Bring it
right?
on. Yeah.
So in a tournament, right?
Uh-huh.
On a par 3 that's like 135 yards, dunked it in the hole and popped out. Here's the best part, right?
Yeah.
Spun away like 35 feet.
Missed the putt.
3-putted for bogey. High school golf.
That basically sums up golf.
Yeah,
And
I feel
at
like pretty much.
on that day, I was like,
Just that.
you know
Yeah.
what? I'm never gonna make a hole in one.
Yeah.
I should quit golf.
That's awesome. That's a great story. That's kind of like, okay, that's the ultimate spit in your face moment.
And I
right
mean,
there.
damaged the
hole.
right? Like,
Yeah.
dropped in and then somehow came out and weird spin on the flagstick and just 40 feet away.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Wow.
I had a guy, we played a couple weeks ago out at Sycamore, and I cannot remember who it was. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. They're going to listen to the episode, and they're going to be mad at me. And they hit the pin twice in the round, and they hadn't done it in 15 or 20 years. I've probably hit the pin 2 or 3 times in my life.
Yeah.
This person nailed it twice.
Oh my
in
gosh.
the same round. It's
Yep.
crazy.
From
But
full swing,
one landed right by the hole. The other one, ricocheted off to oblivion.
Well, it happened to Koepka yesterday. His approach on like the 2nd or 3rd hole,
Yeah,
and it hit the flagstick midair and then kicked all the
Zoop.
way 40 yards down the hill.
that's crazy.
You know, I mean, it's just the breaks you get, and why we always talk so much about how to control your attitude and you know,
We're
and
big
looking,
mental game guys.
Yeah, exactly, and I've yet to really dive into it, so I'm not really going to speak what it's about because I just don't know. But Colin Cowherd talked to a guy named Trevor Mawad a couple weeks ago, who's the mental game coach for Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
Fantastic interview, just really fascinating stuff, and he's
better
written a
than
book.
anything Gripping Golf has put out.
110,000 times.
Better? Or what? Yeah, dang it! Yeah,
I'm not.
So anyway, but he's worked with coaches like Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, and he's just specifically in the field of like sports psychology and talks a lot about staying neutral. And he's written a book called "It Takes What It Takes." So I'm about to dive into that this weekend.
Nice.
and stuff. But there's a lot of, from what I could gather through his interview, which was maybe only 40 minutes long, was just how many parallels that he was discussing that would apply to what we coach every day with.
Oh my
people.
gosh, I can't. Yeah,
What fascinated me was that he's kind of operating in the world of football, which, you know, from the outside in, it's such an emotional sport that you would think like, oh, well, you need to, you know, be that emotional guy.
Right.
And I played those sports. I certainly was that.
yeah. You got your helmets. Here.
But yeah, we got our
Go Hawks.
our college
Most
teams,
mediocre
Huskies.
team of 2020.
Yeah, you've only been playing for like 2 or 3 weeks.
4
though.
games.
Yeah.
We're 2-2. Baby.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
okay.
UW's playing their first game tonight. So
Oh,
we'll see.
okay. Oh, nice.
Playing Oregon State.
Continue
But,
2020.
Yeah.
yeah, no kidding. But yeah, dude, it's really neat to kind of dive into that, and that's something that we're really looking more and more into, just because of how relevant it is to our day to day.
Is that just is that something that you hopes of taking Imperial Golf to that level of being, you know, I know you focus on the mental side
mental
of it a
game
ton.
gurus.
Yeah.
I think there's an opportunity there.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, I had Dr. Linda Sterling on, who's a sports psychologist too, and I was fascinated by it. Honestly, by the discussion. I think that there are too many amateurs that don't focus enough on it to understand how they could be better. Now, you brought up like football.
Yeah.
And it's a very emotional game. I agree with that. the thing is, I think it's team versus individual. And the highs and the lows that a golfer, they experience that only by themselves. Maybe with a caddy, if a professional, or they're playing in a tournament, you know. But the emotional roller coaster that you go on that you can't put yourself on, that's just, I don't know how.
Which is potentially harder for a golfer.
And that's like, what I'm saying.
It's like, we all know, like, internal individual turmoil is like the worst.
That inner monologue that you're talking about.
It's one thing to have pressure on you from your coach and your teammates. It's another thing when you like put internal pressure on yourself.
And that's
it makes
where I'm
golf
guilty.
Impossible.
Yeah.
It's like,
the environment itself is just so entirely exposing, you know, because you get into, I remember playing basketball and football and throwing that uniform on. For me, being a really like introverted, shy kid in those days, I could kind of become somebody else. That was a protection.
It was an alter ego almost.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, having played college basketball, I certainly carried myself a lot differently on the court than I did in every day-to-day life. And yet you see your direct personality traits get exposed on the golf course. So if you're this shy, introverted kid, that you lack confidence, well, that's exactly how I played golf in high school. Yeah. Because I didn't believe what I could do, and so to try and transfer that energy and that confidence from the court to the golf course, it never really happened.
It's a different level. Like Dr. Linda Sterling talked about getting in the zone. And everyone has a different way of getting in that zone. Yeah. I heard like Gary Woodland when he was at the U.S. Open in 2019 and he won. His thing, and I didn't know this, he slaps the back of his left hand when he puts his glove on, and it's like the trigger. It puts him into the zone.
Unbelievably subconscious, by the way.
Yes, and so then it's boom. That's his trigger to be in the zone. Well, you know, we've all, like, I think it was like Brett Saberhagen and stuff like that. They always talked about the fact of like you almost feel like you're in the state of euphoria, like you don't really know what's going on. Nothing around you is relevant except for what's happening in that, and so. I don't know how,
but it's extremely difficult to get the amateur there.
Absolutely,
like the competitive player at least has some kind of experience, you know, with tournament play and whatnot, of like understanding that every shot matters. And you can say that to an amateur, and they their eyes glaze over.
Well, you can't.
Like, I don't think you understand that. Like every shot is critical.
Yes,
and the reason they don't is partly not to their own fault. They are used to playing casual rounds.
Yeah.
And like, for gosh sakes, they give each other 5-foot gimmies all damn day. And it's like, yeah, you're not going to get better if you don't have accountability.
Absolutely.
And so you guys giving each other 5-foot putts, and then it grows to 10 feet as you drink more beers. It's like,
what are you saying?
You're screwed for like any kind of focus and personal accountability in those moments.
Well, so think about in the context of all these people who play in club championships or something at their tournaments, and they shoot 5, 6, 7 strokes higher than what they normally do because they have to hit that 3-foot putt.
Yeah, but there's a flip side to that, degree, which is like we've pushed students a lot to get involved in competitive golf.
Absolutely,
even if they're not scrambles. Like I mean, like go.
Thank you for clarifying. Yes,
competitive is not you're wasted on hole 9. No, like I mean, a kind of golf that most people haven't ever experienced. Like we're kind of just hardened to it at this point, even though. At this point, I think we'd both be nervous again in that environment because we just haven't been in it for a little while.
No doubt.
You know, your U.S. Open qualifier, but but like other than that, I mean, we'd fall back into it like quickly.
Yeah,
it'd be 5-10 minutes, and we'd kind
of a little
bit
of a ride in a bike. Yeah. I can remember doing the Illinois Open qualifier and having. It was weird. I just play better in competitive environment. And then it's not like you take it more serious. Like it's not like I arrive and I'm like, I am going to play better today.
No,
you're more focused.
You're more focused. Is exactly right.
So that's what I was talking about with our students. You get a lot of people that are, I shouldn't say average golfers because like the average male still shoots over 100. It turns out, but but I mean, we have a lot of golfers. I'm thinking of a guy right now that shoots with his friends, 85, 83, and legit. I mean, by the rule book.
It's a good golfer. I mean,
but all his tournament scores have been sub 80 rounds.
Yeah, it's good. So he has the ability to turn it on, get in the zone.
Well, but because he needs that structure and he needs that pressure of like, I'm here alone. Like there's something on the line.
Yep.
And so like. What was crazy with him was I kind of got him to make that discovery on his own. Like I coaxed him a bit, but I was like,
go do it.
like it culminated to a lesson where he basically was like, well, my casual rounds, we drink some beers and we have some fun. And I'm like, don't you see the problem here? Like, you're complaining about 8 to 10 strokes difference between your competitive and your casual rounds, and you just answered your own damn question.
Yeah.
And he's like, holy shit. That's like I need to tap into what I do in competitive golf.
That's a huge problem in golf. I mean, it's a huge, because the expectation is that you'll shoot that, I'm just throwing a 78 every time. And when you shoot 84, you're mad at yourself. Well, you don't think about the context of the environment and what you're doing. The
it's course difficulty.
Yeah.
There's so many things going
conditions.
On.
I mean, like we played a couple of weeks ago and it was like 40-mile-an-hour wind. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Well, to what's simple to us, like, the concept that an 84 at one golf course is like a 78 at another.
Yeah.
Right? That's simple
Slope
to us,
rating.
but it's not to the average golfer.
Right.
They don't understand that scores don't mean the same thing.
Or day to day.
Like
or day to day. I mean, I talk a lot about how par is a fluid number.
Yeah.
Not a fixed number, because the scorecard makes you believe like, 72 is the number every day.
Yeah.
And it's just not. It's just not. If you had
it's almost like a quota system.
Essentially. And we talk a lot about, how game planning to shoot certain numbers and kind of budgeting your strokes. And really, I always use the context of, can you get to the green in regulation? Great. Then you have the ability to par the hole.
Yeah.
Right. If you got the distance, you can get there and all that stuff. And so with some of our better players, it's just like, map yourself out, get a game plan put in place so that you're not grasping at straws when you hit a bad shot, and you can kind of come back to your game plan. And that helps. It creates that security, because so many golfers just go out there, warm up, and then hope to have a good day.
Yeah, they don't even.
But they don't have a game plan.
Yeah, and that's
the key.
Well, even a game plan could even, to me, I hear like thinking about what is I don't want to say target score, but what is an actual score? What's maybe a score range in my mind of taking into consideration maybe the difficulty of the course, of, like you're saying, a 78 at a course over here could be an 84. That golfer, like you said, doesn't stop and think about, okay, what is an attainable number for me today?
Yeah.
Is it 84? And then maybe measuring to that.
It's
84.
Tough.
It's hard.
Tough. There's a lot of factors.
Why would they want to spend that time?
From you're talking about course conditions to the way your body feels. Like, I mean,
what you did the day before.
Golfers are notorious for giving excuses, but legitimately there are some good ones. I mean, like the fact that you sometimes aren't as limber certain days. Like, you just don't feel as good. You're not.
You didn't hydrate the day before.
Like,
drink too much.
Changes.
Yeah.
It's like it's legitimate excuses when you compare it to any other sport.
Absolutely.
Like, the best wide receiver in the game doesn't have his record game every game.
Right.
It's like it's stupid. It's
they may hit their average, and then they have these other big games.
And oftentimes they make a lot of mistakes.
Yep.
But they eclipse that with their highlight moments.
Yeah.
So it's like that's what's hard about golf, is getting people to, like you said, what's a realistic measure. And so instead of pulling them to outcome, we're always pulling people to process.
Yeah.
So, like, to somewhat answer your question, it's about how do we get you back into the present and really not worry about the outcome. And that's really what any sports psychology or psychology in general kind of focuses around, is if the person's struggling in life or in golf or whatever, like, how do you get them here? Like, solve this task.
Yeah.
And then, like, go to the next one.
Every golfer's gone to the golf course and they can't stop thinking about the meeting that they had the day before, and which ruins their round.
Or family,
or family. Something comes up, or the opposite. Something really great happens and they can't stop thinking about getting off the golf course to go hang out.
I was having this talk with a friend of ours who's a yoga instructor, and, like, I guess being coaches, we always think we've said everything, like, completely, like, as many ways as we can, and then you hear it from someone else and you're like, that's so brilliant. Like how did I not think of that? But shout out to Phil Hatterman. I guess I can say his name. He's a great guy, yoga instructor. But
there you go.
But we were talking the other day about this very thing, and he said that, like, since he's a big golfer, he asks a lot of his clients that are golfers, do you golf to relax, or do you relax to play golf? And it was like kind of like a ding, ding, ding moment for me, because it's a reminder of, if you golf to relax, then that means you're emotionally responsive to everything, and you're not going to be a good golfer.
Yeah.
Because it means you're waiting for all the good moments to line up, and then you'll be relaxed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead
I played perfect today.
Wait a second, I got to control my psyche to then play good golf.
Yeah.
And that's like, there's not enough ways to say that to average golfers and get them to realize like that's the key. If you don't understand that, you're not going to enjoy this game.
The broadcast of, I mean, we'll use the Masters since it's happening right now. They show every almost great shot.
Yeah.
They show every putt that goes in
so realistic.
Yeah. No, that doesn't happen. I mean, you look at some of these rounds that they've put out there. Now they're playing great, but there's rounds where people have had double bogeys and they've still shot 2 or 3 under.
Yeah.
They've had 2 or 3 bogeys, double bogeys, whatever, and then they have like 7 birdies, and
some clean rounds. I mean, you get bogey-free rounds.
Yeah.
But if you watch the highlight reel, you seriously think they're shooting 50 freaking 8.
You think they never miss.
You're just like, this is ridiculous.
Which actually really plays into the problem with
yes.
amateurs.
Yeah. Yes.
It truly does.
I agree.
Because when you watch a football game, you see the turnovers.
Yeah.
You see the missed tackles or the interception or whatever. You see the mistakes in basketball and hockey and all these other sports. You get to watch it in its entirety.
Yeah.
What you don't see in golf are the guys that played Thursday, Friday and missed the cut.
Yep.
You don't see that.
That shot 78 or 79 and didn't play very well. They were grinding it out and couldn't. I mean, it was shocking actually when I woke up and realized that Bryson had made the cut this morning.
Yeah.
The way he was playing yesterday, and you could tell he just completely disengaged for a few holes. Because he took that triple and then another bogey.
Well,
and another
bogeyed 18.
And he fell apart, which I think that's part of his personality. He tends to struggle there a little bit, but
he's a hard worker.
He's also young. He's young.
Yeah.
And I think his talent supersedes everything.
Yeah.
And he'll figure out the mental stuff too. That's just
he
in my mind,
was my pick.
Maturity.
I mean, I'm not. He's probably out of it being at even now, and the leader's what at 16, 17.
Yeah, DJ shot another 65.
DJ lit
today.
it up today. He shot 31. He shot 31 on the front.
Eagle 2 or 3?
2, yeah.
2.
Eagle 31 on the front.
Eagle 2.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's very impressive.
He was 5 under through like
even
8.
on moving day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's he's
not
on
moving day. You don't always expect the leader to just one of the leaders to come out just like that, just bang it out.
So is he 6 strokes ahead then?
Unbelievable.
Is he 6?
5 or
4. I think there's one person at 12.
It's really sad we don't know this.
I know.
Yeah,
well,
it's 4 or 5. I think
it's 4 or 5
4
shots.
But
coming into the week, I thought him or John Rahm would be. They were kind of mentally my picks, and just because of the way DJ played during the FedEx Cup playoffs, man. When he's on, I don't remember a time
he's
post Tiger in his heyday where it was like if DJ shows up and he's on, you're not beating him.
Well, and I think he's matured so much in his game. I think that that those early days when he was just immensely talented, he's still immensely talented, but his game was so great. I don't think his mind was straight. I think he's gotten his mind straight to where he can be mentally strong. I still think he struggles with closing a little bit of it. The same with Rory. I think that they struggle getting it to the end, but I don't think that I look at that and go like, would I be any better? I'm clearly not them. So, I mean, it's hard.
The problem with that, too, is our measure, especially guys our age, our measure for a closer is Tiger, who really never gave up a lead.
He never gave up a lead.
And we're seeing someone who's potentially, with his yardage and the way he hits the ball when he's on, equally as talented as Tiger was in his heyday.
Absolutely.
Maybe not with the putter. But DJ, from an execution full swing standpoint, like he's incredibly talented.
Yeah.
And then you put him into these tournaments and he just doesn't quite finish.
Right.
We're seeing this now with Jordan Spieth, the better part of 3 or 4 years where the guy's just falling apart.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
2015, 16.
Which is clearly a lot of mental again.
Yeah.
I mean, because it started out with a simple thing, like he was searching for distance. Like, it's that simple.
And his driver
worked for Bryson, right?
Yep.
It clearly doesn't work for everybody.
No.
I mean, it's like it's almost like, not to throw him under the bus, but kind of a trigger that happened to David Duval.
Yeah.
Like it was just a similar story where you're like, what the heck happened? The guy lost weight and got in shape, and now he can't play golf.
He can't play golf anymore.
Weird. Like,
but he had back issues. He had back issues.
Yeah,
too.
I know. There's more to it than that, but like,
I just wanted to say
Jordan's in a similar category. Like he went for distance. He saw that the tour was getting longer, and that like, man, if I got to stick it out, I got to be able to hit it 400 yards, which is false, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not exactly a short hitter. Like in any case.
He's longer
average.
than
he's
the
tour
average.
Yeah, he's about tour average, maybe a touch longer, but
he's not carrying it 300 yards.
Isn't that crazy how this search for 15 or 20 yards, like that starts the destroying of a golfer, and then if if we were to be critical, which it always feels funny to be critical of a tour pro because we're swing coaches. It's like, wait, we're not there. We got to watch our words. But like I always feel funny because humble background. I don't want to be the guy that's calling them all out in their shit and they're where they are. But but like Jordan Spieth, it just seems that he's kind of lost his focus on his own personal game, and he tends to, I don't want to say always like shift blame, but like he doesn't own his shit.
Right.
And it's like you kind of have to take ownership of your own problems and not shove stuff on your caddy and like just make sure that you're taking ownership of your problems, and that doesn't solve everything. I'm not saying by doing that he would just immediately become in contention again.
Well, he was when he emerged onto the tour, he was kind of a hothead.
Yeah,
I mean he's figured that out, and he's much better than he was. But I think he's lost not only on his mind, but maybe a little bit in his swing, a little bit. And every golfer, I mean, I can't imagine being at the age that he was at in 2015 and all the comparisons. I mean, all of them, every single, DJ, Rory, Spieth, they've all been compared to Tiger. Yeah. They've all been, who's the next Tiger? Why do we need a next Tiger?
We experienced this.
And we won't get one.
No,
we
won't. And we experienced this 20 years ago in the post-Jordan basketball era.
Yeah.
Because it was Grant Hill and Anthony Hardaway and all these guys that came in after Mike that was deemed the next MJ until LeBron came and then kind of just took all that narrative. Yeah. And we're going to run into that.
Surprised you didn't say Kobe.
Oh, yeah. That's an important one, too.
Dude, 2020. Seriously.
I know, right? But
like, it's crazy.
The point is, none of those guys really lived up to that name. Kobe kind of did.
Yeah, I would say Kobe did. Yeah.
I think he got the most out of that hype. And what we're seeing now is, you're again drawing comparisons from someone like Rory to Tiger, and it's like Rory's got an amazing career. Yeah. DJ's got 22 wins now.
Yeah,
DJ. Like I called DJ today the sleeper golfer because the average person doesn't understand how good he is now. How many wins
he's amazing.
He has. They don't understand how many wins he has. Right. Like he's actually pretty legit.
It's incredible.
Well, incredible. No one knows. I would go further with that. I would say there's so many great golfers like DJ. Like Rory,
20+ wins,
like that have a lot of wins, but because it's not 80, it's not like measurable, and it's like okay, you're actually
even Phil, he has what 40 some odd wins.
Yeah. And he's 50.
Hey,
he's 50
could be Ken Duke, right? You could be winless for what 28 years.
There you go.
Like pick one up.
All I know is like if Phil at 50, there's still hope for me.
Yeah,
and Mike Weir's back. I mean,
Wearsy.
Mike's
weird to see him hitting the ball well.
Green jacket though.
It's good to see him back. It is weird to see him at the same time. It's like he really he was gone.
I mean, there was a funny moment in the broadcast. It was either online or on TV. I think it was Faldo, so it had to have been on TV. Mm-hmm. And Bryson was paired with Oosthuizen in the first couple rounds. I think it was like the 13th hole. And Louis just, his beautiful golf swing he has, just nice little baby draw up there. And then Bryson steps up, like he's competing for the World Long Drive Championship and only goes 10 yards further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Faldo, to his credit, he's like, there's Bryson twice the size of little Louis and only got him 10 yards further.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just like, that's partly the conditions too. I mean, it
was wet.
What you're seeing right now, because I think Tiger's average drive after Thursday was like 292.
Yeah.
He really wasn't hitting that far. No. But what you're seeing is what most of us have to deal with as far as golf course conditions being a little more damp.
Right.
And these fairways not being rock hard and just bounding down there, because that's what's adding a lot of the yardage in these tours.
Well, you don't like no one equates to that. Like, I might know my average distance with my driver is 300 yards. Let's just say that. Mm-hmm. Well, how much of that is actually carry? Right. So then when you put in wet conditions,
275,
right. Or 265, you don't even, and it's like now all of a sudden I'm hitting 4 irons into greens. And it's like, whoa.
I think too, as instructors, we're always cynical about the distance discussions because we're just so damn tired of it. It's like it is no doubt it's fascinating to watch somebody hit a ball that far. Like when Bryson cranks one, at 385, it's crazy. But you know what? In 5 seconds, I'm over it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, cool.
The ball speed
Can you
numbers.
put a wedge close to the pin and finish it?
Yeah.
And that's like just because as instructors and even personal as golfers, like we know the game is not one dimensional. There's
Right.
there's multiple dimensions to it. Like everyone wants the secret answer to golf, and the fact is you got to be balanced.
Yeah.
Like the best answer is boring as shit.
Yeah.
It's like you got to be good at a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's not one or the other. You might have strengths that are better than others, but like you can't just be good at one thing.
I think it's know your game, specifically in any given situation. Like when Andy Kelly from Baker University was on, and we were talking about the fact of like he'll go on Google Maps or Google Earth, and they'll go through the round with his players out there. And I'm like, well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you take it so far that you're giving advice for every player? And he's like, to a point. And he said, like the safe play could be 4-iron. But at that point, I was like, do you reserve the right for them to say, I'm hitting my driver phenomenal today. I haven't missed any fairways.
Yep.
And he's like, absolutely. I just want them to understand that there's maybe a potential different way to play the hole, but I don't want to get in their way of playing the best round that they could that day. I just want to be able to tell them there's different ways to make par or birdie.
So a lot of that revolves around the player being aware of what's strong and what's not.
Yes.
And it's amazing how many young people don't have a damn clue.
I don't even know.
And it's, I shouldn't just resort it to young people, but it's like you have a lot of young people that think theoretically like this is the right club, or theoretically like I'm hitting this club well. It's like, but you're 30 yards offline with it. So what the hell does it matter? Like, great, you're pin high. I still hit it the right distance. You're pin high, but you're in completely the worst place you can be.
Well, at least I have the right club.
It's and like that's the hard part, is getting people to realize what their true strengths and weaknesses are, and avoid the weaknesses.
So how do you
just amateur golfers?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to go back to some of the things we've talked about, I love this conversation, by the way. How do you get like more people to not be intimidated to play in more competitive things? Like you talked about a little bit of getting people to play in a competitive environment, specifically, and I don't remember what his name was, but he would shoot better below 80 versus he'd go out and
his name.
Yeah, that's true.
But he's
but
just an example.
What do you do to get more people to realize, even if they're shooting 100, even if they have a high handicap, why can't they get involved in different things?
It starts simple. It starts with really simple like nudges and pushes.
Yeah.
And it really isn't anything, magical. It's just like the common phrase you hear from everybody that you push, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough.
And then I'm like, guess what? You never will be.
Yeah.
You never will be.
So
even when you're physically ready, you're going to get out there mentally and you're going to freak yourself out because it's an environment you're not used to. So it's like you better just get your ass out there and get used to it.
Kind of the same discussion with people like, oh, I'm going to wait until I'm financially stable to have kids.
Yeah. I was just when he said that, that's exactly where my head went.
I mean, that's a far more serious parallel, but the point being is you kind of just have to jump in.
Yeah, I agree.
And get that experience. And we've had multiple students, several.
Why wouldn't you
years.
do it? That's what I always say.
And I tend to, I don't really relegate it to a certain handicap level, but if we got people in here that are a single digit or less than 5, I'm nudging them relentlessly, constantly. Like, go play competitive. You're fortunate to be good at this game at this level. Yeah. You should be playing.
I agree.
Or state line events, even for the 10, 12. It doesn't always have to be below 5. I mean, sometimes it's a 10 or 12 handicap that's a very respectable golfer.
It's gone.
But you
now.
want to turn them into a single digit. And
like the what was it? The Golf Channel Amateur Tour. It's gone now.
Well, but there's a lot of like supplements to it though.
Like there's divisions. Basically like a handicap. It's like 4 to 8 or below 4 and stuff like that. Yeah. And you can do really well in those things.
You can. Yeah, I had several students that participated in those, and they were a lot of fun because you're getting put up against people in your competitive frame, and like we talk a lot about that judgmental, like, oh, I shot an 87 today and I normally shoot 78 to 81. And first and foremost, we run into those golfers so often who really don't understand what the word consistency means.
Right. Yeah.
Because they come in, even first day, going through their profile, like swing analysis, everything, and they're like, well, I shoot like 88 to 97. Yeah. I'm like, okay, that's really consistent.
Yeah.
So it's a different discussion than if you want to be better. You are consistent at what you're doing.
No, that's really important because we lay that out for people, like understanding what consistency means, and that consistency doesn't mean your scores are going to be there. It just means that you don't want to hit as big a misses, and you want to protect yourself from a lot of the big damage. Yeah. But like the best way to lay that out is like watch some damn Tour Pro scores from week to week.
Yeah.
it
I'm not
isn't.
shooting.
It's not this, right?
Yeah.
Like it's this. It's like, record breaking, 59 on 1 week.
Right.
Not that happens
81
often. But
the
then
next
it
week.
can be,
Yeah.
it's all over the place. So the way that I kind of present to people is a 10-stroke swing is normal.
Yeah.
Like
That's normal for nines
grasp
for
that.
me. Yeah.
Grasp that. But 18, it's very, you can comprehend that. 'Cause
Absolutely.
on 18 holes, it's like, well, I mean, on a great day, I could maybe shoot a 72.
You equate it to a couple lost balls,
and 82 on another day on a really hard course, and I'm not hitting the ball well.
Yeah.
And like to some people, that's almost self-destructive.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I shot 10 strokes. Like, I don't even want to play this game anymore.
Yeah, I shot 90 today.
And it's just like, you have to understand that's normal. And my other favorite thing to do, if you don't mind me talking about, is handicap, right? So I use the handicap system as like an indicator as to how you should understand scoring, and that it's loosely based off of a 1 out of 4 potential round score.
That's
and
what
it's like,
people don't understand.
They don't get that. Like,
your
it's
potential to shoot a great round.
25% of the time, your potential, which is like really broad. That's like saying you could shoot this good 25% of the time. And people don't get that and like understand that scoring average is very different than handicap.
Yeah.
They're not the same.
They're not the same.
Right. Like very different measures. Like scoring average, obviously a much better measure.
Yeah.
Right. Handicaps, it's a system to even out the playing field. Yeah. Right. And like allow people to compete in amateur events and do all that kind of stuff.
It's just where I started tracking mine for the last few years for that reason.
Your handicap or
average? My average
scoring,
stats, like
scoring
putts,
average,
scoring, greens and reg, fairways, like all kinds of stuff. Because I've found that it's far more productive for me, with kids and business and all that stuff. Like if I got 30 minutes a week to go practice something, I need to know what it is I need to be practicing. And so I'm old school, so I've got this Excel spreadsheet that's just getting really, really detailed. And to some people that want that, I show them and like, this is something we can do. I can email it to you. You can start plugging your numbers in, because I'm far more interested in your scoring average than I am your handicap.
Yeah,
I keep one because I do need to play in tournaments and stuff. But the point is that I need to know where my scores are trending, where my putts are trending, and then the important numbers for me are my putts per round and my greens and reg.
Yeah.
If I can attack those and improve those numbers, my score drops dramatically.
How much of I always love this of you can increase your greens in regulation, which then might increase your putts.
It does.
So how do you
well, a lot of people don't understand that correlation.
Well, absolutely. and I'm not trying to be mean.
You miss greens and you lower your
Oh my
putts.
gosh, I had 26 putts today. Well, how many greens did you hit?
Right.
3.
Yeah.
Right. And so and context helps that, right?
Yeah.
And so I've now got 4 years of solid data with my own game, and over that time frame, I went through and looked at, okay, what's the threshold of greens I need to hit to get myself at par better?
Interesting.
And what I noticed was when I hit 12 or more, which is roughly tour average, 65%, right? That my scoring average was below 72 because I don't do that all the time.
Okay.
So when I would hit 12 or more,
good enough.
Yeah. I've got roughly 100 rounds or 110 rounds tracked over the last 4 years. And I've got, I think, 30 to 34 rounds at 12 or better, greens in regulation, right?
Okay.
So roughly a third of the time I can do that.
Yeah.
And I noticed that my scoring average when I do that is below 72. It's like 71.8. My putts per 18, my putts per 18 in those rounds is above 31.
Okay.
My putts per 18 this year with my total of 32 rounds I've put in is 29.5. So my putts definitely go up. Yeah. And I had a round a few weeks back, like early October at Shoal Creek, where I hit 16. And I played terrible. I was barely, I think I was right at even par. I just putted terribly.
You had some 3 putts, but I would imagine.
I had one and didn't really make anything. A lot of lag putts. Yeah, so my proximity wasn't great.
Right.
But it's understanding how do you play poorly. Almost universally, people put their best score on our little profile form. We're like, okay, well, how'd you shoot that number that day?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It was just going really well that day.
I was
like,
never missed.
I was shit-faced. No, it's like, well, shouldn't you know what's going right to play good golf?
Yes.
And then can you repeat it? And that's where I really started pushing myself. Like, okay, when I'm playing well, what am I doing right?
Yeah.
And can I get myself to a point where I don't get to practice chipping and putting a lot, so can I just hit the green more?
Yeah.
Can I get myself on the, and it's like scoring in the red zone. You got to get there.
At least rely on
I totally
a
agree.
two-putt. Yeah. You can at least rely on a 2-putt.
Well, and I think, I think it's interesting, I think it's hard for golfers, to track and track all their stats like you're doing. It takes time, and I think that's where every shot counts that Mark Brody, is it Brody? Yeah. I think it's Brody. He, it was interesting. He equated like in the beginning of it, how much time it took him to do that. And it was basically spreadsheets, it was like, I went and tracked or he printed out a picture of every hole and he put an X where he shot. Now we're talking about what I'm getting as strokes gained.
Yeah.
How much,
which I still don't understand, really.
It's a very hard calculation to understand. It's basically a measure to yourself. It can be a measure to the field or to yourself, which then yourself is the field.
And you lost me.
Yeah. So like
another beer.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
But I think that's actually critically important to even what you were talking about.
Personal improvement.
Yeah, is knowing what went right that day.
Yeah.
And then like knowing what should be actually good, of like, okay, if I hit more greens in a round, I should anticipate that I probably going to have more putts and that might go up, or unless your proximity to the hole is really close.
And from the stat side of it, like to be blatantly honest, I mean, we know that a lot of people are such casual golfers, they don't really want to keep spreadsheets.
No.
So then like that's where we encourage the most basic keeping of stats if we can. And so like even if you can just on your scorecards, keep your greens, fairways, putts. It's a basic start, but like at least they're holding themselves somewhat accountable. Because it's still shocking how many people hit 44 putts around and don't have a damn clue. You're like, okay,
it's generally,
you really are losing 10 strokes here.
Well, and it's generally like half of their score.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my gosh.
So I'm just trying to like relate to the average person.
Totally get it.
Because like the stat keeping relates to the A, competitive golfer, B, like amateur that's pretty serious. But you're still missing a group of people that, dude, they're never going to do that.
Well, they don't think about it.
Which is where I'm selective with it. I don't show that to everybody.
I don't try
to. Well, I'm commending it. I'm just saying, like, I mean, I've never been as good of a stat keeper as you are. Like, you're really good at that. It takes time. But, like,
because he hit on this the other day talking to a student where I do all that after my round.
Yes.
Yeah. I sit down, and thanks to apps that, have GPS like an 18 birdies or Grint or something like that, where I can just go through and physically look, okay, I hit it here and then there, and then I two-putted. And then from there I can map it out, because that's been a habit for me, ironically, for like 10, 12 years. I used to do that even when I was shooting 88s. And it's funny because I found a box of old scorecards and was looking through it, and I was like, good Lord, like that golfer is so much different now. Because of what I can focus on. And so what's great actually as a coach now, because having played college basketball, I shifted gears in my mid-20s, and John and I both, I mean, we were semi-competitive high school golfers, but that was pretty much it.
Right. Me too.
And speak for yourself.
Yeah. John,
I would have wiped the floor with you in high school.
This is true.
Now you wipe the floor with me.
Now you can't catch me.
Yeah.
So, but my point is,
he's a business owner.
Like, look, it's true story.
I don't even know what golf is anymore.
We play a version of it.
So if you come to Imperial, to not take lessons from John. No, I'm just joking.
Hey, I shot a measly 74 the other day.
That's better than I could do now.
We won't talk about where. The point being is when we can
worse
kind of dial in what it is you need to be focused on. And I've made the mistake in years past of just assuming people can sit down afterwards and write their scores down.
Yeah.
Because I've had so many people that were like, you want me to remember all my shots?
I can remember every shot.
I can almost
remember every yardage.
Guy, we sit down afterwards and I'm like, okay, you were here, you were there. He's like, oh yeah, I was. Yeah. Huh? Wait, really?
Yeah. Is this to make me look bad?
No,
no.
It's a difference.
I'm a very much in the moment person.
Yeah,
and that's just it.
And I'm so
much
obsessed
better at focusing on those things.
That's the flip.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's the balance of like, if I caddy for an event, it works great,
right?
Because like he's very detail oriented, and I understand that because like I studied landscape architecture in college and whatnot, so I understand that side of it, but. I also
your highs higher and your lows lower.
Grew up on a farming construction family, so I also understand like it's just kind of cut and dry. It's black and white, and it's just so like the being in the moment thing. And I practiced it. I wasn't always naturally good at that. Like I had to learn how to manage anger and competitive golf and stuff too. But like being in the moment, that was kind of my strength. Like I could just forget about the absolute shank that I just did on the last shot. And be like,
why do you got to go to that extreme?
Well, I'm just I'm just saying, like, even if it was that extreme, I could somehow kind of get over it. And it's like past 16 years old, I'm saying, like, you know, I can just be like, all right, it's time to refocus. Like, I don't, and one example we use, I always told him about a drill that I did, or like kind of made up myself in high school. And I didn't realize it this way, but he commended me for having the foresight to kind of like understand I need to do this. And it was just like understanding that I sliced the ball off the tee, right? So I'm a teenager in high school, I'm like, my whole goal was always just break 80, right? And I was like, I can do that if I know how to recover from the trees. So I was like, I'm not kidding. I started playing games where I'd play these 9-hole matches where I'd skip the tee shot and I'd drop my ball in the trees, like right in the fairway, and just realize like, well, this is where I'm going to be. Yeah. You know, like most of the time.
How many high schoolers do you know that did that?
Not very many.
Like, none. But I figured out how to do it. So it was like, all right, really solid punch shot, like put it on the green and make your putt.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and putting was what I practiced the most to make that happen, obviously.
That's impressive.
Like, ball striking 7-iron in was good. Yeah. Like I was pretty good there. But like anything beyond 7-iron was really wishy-washy.
I always heard, so that's interesting because I've heard a different take on that would be if you go out and play around where you're going to practice and play like 2 balls.
Yeah.
Play the worst ball.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you do hit it a bad one, you play that one. Don't go play the one that you striped, which is typically your second shot.
I did that all the time. It was just my normal ball.
I was assuming the miss.
Yeah.
So the reason for doing that was one, speed it up, and 2, just like that way I could be mentally clear.
Yeah.
And it sounds kind of dumb, but it was like instead of hitting the tee shot and slicing it over there anyways, it's like to not have to go through that action.
Yeah, just go like, here. I got to get to there. Yeah.
And it developed a mental trigger, which was really powerful because it was like then when I step on the tee, maybe somewhat cynically, I was like, if I hit it down the fairway, this will be a bonus.
Yeah.
But I'm planning on being
no idea
20 yards in the trees right there. And so I'd end up there and I'd just be smiling.
That's interesting.
And then I developed this mantra, like in high school, they called me the best misser, which was like an insult and a compliment at the same time. But it was like this kid recovers, and like, if you ever learns how to strike a ball right, like, and I didn't have any swing coaching or anything. And that was the whole game. And so putting, the kicker was 4 to 5 nights a week, hour and a half, 2 hours a night on the putting green.
Wow.
Yeah. That's where I was obsessive. I'd go to the driving range for 15 minutes.
Wow.
And realize like, this ain't doing anything.
Yeah.
So then I go to the putting, till the sun went down most nights. And it was just like, I'm going to make putts.
You have lower back problems?
Yes.
Yeah. But
now. Yeah, exactly.
Now. Yeah. But that's what's crazy to me is like, even our better players weren't practicing like that when I was in high school. And I actually, incidentally, played on a pretty good team. We had 4 guys that would shoot in the 70s and contended for state. I was just the guy that could shoot mid-80s, and if I had a good day, then I was somewhat in the group. But that was about it.
77, yeah.
So that was the crazy thing for me. And then that, to his credit, him on my bag in the U.S. Open qualifier, I mean, it was a big deal because when I had my blow-up pole halfway through the round, it was just like, okay, back to the task at hand. And that
kind of wanted to punch you in the face, but I knew that was going to be a bit extreme.
I wanted to headbutt a nail.
That was at Creekmore. Yeah.
Creekmore. Okay.
Creekmore,
great golf course.
Yeah.
I love the track. I hit a poor iron and then really didn't reset. So I hit
what hole?
17.
17. Oh, okay.
The par 3 over water. I was playing like 235, 240.
Yeah, it was a little off the right wind, and
that was one of the holes that was playing longer than it was supposed to.
It was, yeah, because
by like 20.
They sent out the yardages. They sent out the yardages.
Oh, thanks USGA for nothing.
9 and 10, we knew we're going to be up a tee box. Yeah. So 9 it can be 680. It was like 575. So it's still long.
Yeah,
because it's also into the wind. And then 10 is traditional. I think the back tees are 480 something. It was 440. Yeah. And so we got to 12, which is another long par 3. It's basically the same tee shot. So I started on the back 9, also a surprise. So our game plan kind of got mixed up, and we started a little kind of rough. I mean, a few bogeys, few birdies, and by the time we got to 17, which was my 8th hole, I was around 2 over. I mean, I had 3-putt bogeys, so I felt pretty good. Yeah. I mean, this was my first experience, really not knowing much, but I hit the same stupid 5-iron I hit on 12. There was water short this time. So, and that's really not where I made the mistake. It was a bad swing, bad shot, so be it. Went to the drop zone, dropped my ball, grabbed a wedge, hit it.
Mistake.
And I pulled it into the water from 70 yards.
Yeah.
And that's where I
you just weren't focused.
You
weren't focused there.
Really internally frustrated, because now I'm sweating that I'm so frustrated, because I'm like, well, great, now I got to get this on the green.
Yeah.
And I didn't clear, so I hit another one and then 3-putted and took an 8 and was just like, okay, well, there went this day, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I even said something to that effect on the way to the 18th
You said, well, I guess we're just playing for fun today.
Yeah.
And I said something like, no, bleep that.
Yeah.
I was like, we're going to refocus. You're halfway in this round.
The way I remembered it was
we played 8 holes.
Right.
Yeah.
And we were
I was kind of in a place where I ain't putting up with that shit.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get your attitude back in the right place.
Yeah.
And you
there's
still
a lot
got
of
half
golf.
a round to play.
Of course, it's going to be fun if that's your attitude.
Yeah.
It's like, we're just playing for fun. Well, you could grind. You could go into it and be like, we could make 5 birdies on the front nine if we
well,
wanted.
and that was the thing. And we did. So the crazy thing is, I left.
I didn't know that.
Short.
I just literally threw that out there. So
I birdied. I hit a great drive on 18 up the left side. Hit a 4-iron to like 10 feet. 2-putted for birdie. Birdied 1. Birdied 2. Left it 6 inches short on 3 and birdied 4. So I got 4 and 5 holes back just right there. And then again, I'm like, okay,
just think if you wouldn't have had that 8.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
That's golf.
And this is where, in a casual round, you're right. In a casual round, you're like, oh man, if I'd have just not.
Right.
It's so different in a competitive round, because had that not happened, you're not thrown into this spiral, And so, because I've talked to this so many times about our students over the years, where if I'm even par with 5 to play, I'm in a completely different mindset.
Yeah.
I was +3 with a couple par 5s in play, thinking if I just get back to even, I've got a shot.
What a great round.
I've got an outside shot, and man, did I recover. And I would have shot like a 29 on the back nine or something crazy.
Yeah.
So again, got a bit ahead of myself, and this is just, to me, where the experience was lacking. I'd never been there before, and so and we were still as good of friends as we are, as well as we know each other. We were still working out those little bit of kinks in that relationship. That was a first for the both of us. So
for,
it was
for
just
Jon
such
to
a
caddy.
for me. And so
I wasn't actually. I had some caddying experience, but not like you. I mean, that was kind of a new thing for me too.
Sure.
I actually, grew up near the John Deere Classic and did some caddying at the Pro-Am, but like that was about it. But
Quad
I
Cities?
didn't have a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which, in all honesty, I mean, I caddied at a private golf club, but it's not a competitive round. There's not stuff on the line, type of thing.
But your social awareness is probably on, because you're just watching the person you're caddying for a little bit.
It can be uncomfortable. Yeah, when you have a good player on the that you're on the bag for that's struggling, and you don't have that relationship that he and I have. That's a struggle.
It's hard.
But it was clear that our process, like mentally, was far above most of the players there.
Yeah, they were just out there to play.
And that's no offense.
So
like some of them are young and they just have to learn some of those things yet. But we experienced in our group, like one kid doing, pretty much full on meltdown. Like basically quit after the 9th hole.
And he withdrew.
Like actually withdrew. Like
never do that.
As he went thin over the green like 4 times. It was not good.
Our 6th hole, he took like a 9 or a 10, and you could tell he just completely imploded mentally.
So I think what was fascinating about his round is that the ability to compete at that level, fight back after a bad hole, and be the person there that's literally swinging the golf club the absolute least.
Yeah.
I mean, like, all these guys are college players, like,
true. Yeah,
and I was like, you can look at this a million ways. You can be like negative and say, well, if I wouldn't have, like you said, wouldn't have took that 8, what would have happened? It's like, the flip side of that
3
is
under.
you freaking birdied 5 holes.
It's
what a comeback.
Yeah.
And then you're still shooting in the 70s on a U.S. Open qualifier with really no preparation.
Yeah.
Right? It just goes to show, like, with a good mental game and obviously some skills. There's skills there, but like with a good mental game, like, and I would say far superior mental game, I think us working together, it just kind of demonstrated that we had a lot more maturity there. And that's partly probably age, but like also just process, like having a process.
Yeah.
These guys didn't have one, because the moment they had a bad shot, house of cards.
Yeah.
And without Jon there that day, there's no telling what I would have shot. It's hard to really gauge that, but I'm confident breaking 80 wasn't in the cards. You're there, you implode. There's no one to talk you and pull you back out of that.
Yeah.
So the 4 birdies in 5 holes likely doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
who knows what would happen on
exactly,
18.
and it's hard to know. It's all conjecture. But the point being that was such a unique and really cool experience, and one of those things that I was looking forward to, and then 2020 happened.
Yeah.
I was excited for this year to do that again.
What happened in 2020? No,
something weird.
So the ability to reset, like that's the kind of the ultimate question with every golfer, and it's easier with a caddy.
Well, and I think
do you have a guy there or a girl there to be like, hey, get your shit together?
Well, and I think the reset moments on to maybe draw it into the amateur golfer versus the professional golfer. The reset moments on a professional golfer, we're talking bogey. We're talking maybe double bogey. We're not talking quintuple bogey on the 17th, 8th hole.
Yeah, but understanding even that's rare for him or me.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Those kind of numbers are still pretty rare.
But that's the thing. It's like that's what I'm trying to say is like the amateur golfer, it might be a triple. That they have to say, okay, that's not my norm. But my norm might have been a bogey. You know, I might have bogeyed the hardest hole on the golf course, which is actually a win. You know, if you're a 16 or 17 or an 18 handicap, you know.
Well, that's where we get back to talking about budgeting strokes. I mean, when I got guys that are trying to break 80, I'm like, okay, I want you to pick 4 holes and just play them as a stroke harder.
Yeah.
You know, let's game plan to shoot 75 or 6.
Yeah.
Not go out there and hope I break 80 because that's not a game plan.
Yeah.
You know, you're not getting yourself around the track.
Well, hope is
never
not a
game plan.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
so if you actually put something in play,
and
John talks a lot about this all the time about, you know, expectations versus goals, you know, because goals are great.
Yeah, I lay out the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Big time. Like, and a lot of people don't understand the difference between the two. And I can't say I did my whole life either.
Yeah.
But like,
it's hard.
The way that I describe goals and expectations is goals are something that you set to achieve and you put a process in place to achieve them.
Yes. Yeah.
Expectations is something that you do to yourself in the moment that's unrealistic and it freaks you out.
Yeah.
Yep. Not going to.
I only hit my 3 iron 215. I normally hit a 235. What happened? Yeah.
Well, and in most people's cases, it's I had a bad hole in the second hole, so my round's over now.
Yep.
And it's like, are you shitting me?
Right.
You know, you have a lot of golf to play.
16 more holes to go.
Right.
So hitting that reset, my funny story, personal story always is that Myrtle Beach round where you remember that round?
Yeah.
It's like the
most. I was in the group behind you.
I didn't even know how to describe that round. Long story short is it was just a little like competitive event, and it was 18 holes at World Tour, and par the first par 4, birdie the second par 5. Put 5 balls in the water on a par 3 on the third hole and take a 12.
Oof.
I was 8 over after 3 holes and had 9 birdies on the round to finish.
Oh, wow.
So don't know how it happened, right? And
right.
even the kid that was keeping my scorecard at the end was like shaking his head, like, because I birdied the 18th, like with a 25-footer to finish. He's like, do you have any idea like what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
And I was like, I made some putts. I mean, 88. And he was like, you shot 72.
Yeah.
I was like,
which perfectly, by the way, explains his mindset.
Yeah.
It's like,
because I would have known exactly where I was the whole day.
Didn't have a damn clue.
Right?
I was like, I'm not kidding. Didn't have a damn clue. Would not have thought I was even in the 70s.
Wow.
It was just like, well, I want to eat over on a hole, so I don't know. And I'm like, I probably shot in the 80s. And he's like, you shot 72, dude. You had 9 birdies and you went 9 over on one hole. And I was like, 9 birdies? And then immediately what do you start thinking? Like, I could have shot 60. Like, like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
59 watch.
What if that 12 was a 3?
So, like, the moral of the story is, like, it was a hard reset.
Yeah.
Because, like, you get off that third hole, you par the first, birdie the second, take a 9 over on the third hole. You're like, well, what's the rest of this round look like?
Yeah.
Because it's like expectations are gone.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and so it's a choice between I give up or let's take it one shot at a time.
Yeah.
And then, like, I just happened to get really hot with the putter. Like, it's not magical. I just, like, was lucky enough to get hot with the putter. It was the most birdies I ever made in a round. So, disappointing that it ended up being that round. But like, again, you can look at it 2 ways. I could have shot freaking 95 that day.
Yeah.
That could have been a disaster.
Could have gone the opposite way. I think it's,
yeah.
What did Justin Rose say? Something about the fact that he maybe peers 1 shot around.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's like, I think it's like 2 points.
All the best ball strikers have a quote like that.
Nicholas always would say that.
Ben Hogan.
Yeah.
Nicholas's famous one was like, I only ever hit 3 perfect shots in a round, which was meant to be like to the way that I drew them up.
I think that it's not even a perfect shot.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think it's interesting because I feel like that's part of this. That reset is really evaluating. So if a professional golfer is going out and hitting the ideal shot, I think it's like 2.7% is in a round.
Right.
That's what is the average golfer? 0.1%?
Oh,
I mean, and so
At
then
best.
why is the average golfer or just amateur golfer
it's the cliche,
is so angry
right?
about
It's like, oh, that one shot that kept me coming back.
yes,
Like,
yes,
there's your
exactly. It's basically like why we can't get off social media and stuff like that is because like we hit that one good shot and it's like the thing that it's like the Netflix. The next episode will start in 5, 4, 3.
Yeah.
You're like the minute you get off at 18
10
and
days
you hit
later.
that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
My eyes
Your
are
next-
bleeding, but I can't turn off this show.
Yeah.
Well, so one of my because we're golf coaches, we always use analogies, right? We can't help ourselves.
Right.
But like one of my recent ones this past 6 months has been like golf's like the only sport where it's like the hardest damn game in the world, but we treat it like croquet.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
and
true.
I've like hit so many people with that because they're
Right.
just, I'm like, do you realize your expectations are like, obviously through the moon with golf.
Yeah.
But then you walk out on the golf course, like drinking a few beers, acting like it's just a good day with your boys at the frat house.
Yeah.
It's like,
And you think,
come on,
yeah.
like this is a way harder game than that.
Incredibly.
It's the optics. It's the
yeah.
optics because, and I've drawn this comparison to other sports where you watch someone like LeBron or Lamar Jackson or Pat Mahomes playing their sport and they're so good at their craft. Physically, you watch them, you're like, I can't do that.
No. Yeah.
But then you watch Duffy Waldorf hit a 6-iron, and you're like, I could do that.
Yeah.
It's
It is
like,
weird.
I could put on a floral shirt and
like
hit a
that
shot.
part of it, no problem.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
made a putt from 16 feet,
Yeah.
big freaking deal.
I've done that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do that in my apartment all the time.
Yeah.
DJ's 16 under, by the way.
16
under.
so going in tomorrow 16. What's going to happen tomorrow? Does he win?
He'll probably shoot 19 under and set the new record and win by 4 or 5.
Yeah, shoot 3 under tomorrow.
Yeah, it was interesting. That's kind
Yeah,
of what I was
probably.
thinking.
He accelerates when he gets that type of lead, and you could see.
Yeah.
I think when I'm looking at a tournament, I look at body language a lot, and when DJ's hitting driver and immediately picking up his tee, you're not beating him.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He did that half a dozen times a day.
I think if he comes out of the gate tomorrow hot, not like it doesn't have to be like it was today where he's eagling the second hole, but I think if he comes out, he gets some pars, gets some birdies early, he maybe get to
if
20,
he's not over
21.
par after 9 and someone else isn't hot pushing him, then he'll walk away from it.
Right.
Because if he's got a 2 or 3 stroke lead with 9 to play, forget it.
Yeah.
It's not going to matter. So he'll have to make a mistake somewhere in the first 9, and someone else. I mean, Cameron Smith has been playing lights out golf this week.
He has.
The
I
kid has
just
just
wish he
been-
would shave his mustache is the only thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're blonde, don't wear a mustache. Just
Yeah.
roll a thumb.
Yeah.
You and I get that.
Yeah. Wait,
but
don't you have a beard?
I have a beard, but
That's
Okay,
all right.
yeah,
It
thank
doesn't.
you.
It
Okay.
doesn't work
Yes.
for me either.
Yeah,
And
it does
you gotta
well.
you gotta let it all go.
Yeah.
and it looks okay.
I shave like once a week.
But
Yeah.
and it's interesting because Abraham Answer, who's proven to just
I like
be
it.
this
Yeah.
really solid guy, and he performed so well in that President's Cup against
Yeah.
Tiger, and
Yeah.
you got a lot of good young talent that's showing that they're worthy of the biggest spotlight in the
Yeah.
world.
I think it's
Masters is a huge thing, and it's also a bit odd because it's such a weird time of year to be doing this.
Yeah. It's different.
We had the FedEx Cup. We're preparing for Thanksgiving, and you're at Augusta Nat. It's just
Yeah.
so bizarre. And there's no
Yeah.
fans there.
And
Yeah.
in fall,
16
yeah.
looks so weird.
It
like
yeah,
like
without,
behind the, I'm
without
like
the flowers.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, even in the
It's-
fans,
and
there's
those
no
fans.
fans on the left.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
typically
And
there's
18.
fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Everything.
like
Yeah.
Yeah.
the whole. It
Yeah.
looks so much more narrow.
Yeah.
With fans.
Yeah.
And then I think Bryson was even talking like, well, my lines, because I know I'm not hitting into people,
Right.
are going to be a little different this time
Yeah.
time of year, and so I noticed that a couple times today with some players like Rahm, or he hit a completely just gaffed 5-wood or something on 8 and hooked it in, and then hit a tree, and it was just a debacle of a hole for him. But I experienced this when we went to the qualifier, because we had a couple of our students come out walking with us, and I feel like I haven't experienced this, but I feel like it'd be easier with a couple thousand people around the hole with
Right.
like ambient noise.
Right.
When you've got like 5 people and you can hear
like-
them breathe.
Yeah.
you know, or you can hear them like just fumbling with something. It is weird. You're very aware of every person, and that's kind of what's happening because they've got a couple cameramen and maybe their golf coach.
Yeah,
and that's
it's so quiet now, opposed to like you're saying.
There's no ambient noise.
Yeah,
you know,
there's not that
rustle,
murmur. Yeah, that rustle
with the crowd, and I can't imagine. I don't. Neither one of us have been there, but that's got to be like
the cameraman puts his drink down, and it's like. It's so loud. Yeah. Hey, quiet over there. Yeah.
Not to hear Bill Engvall in the back cracking a beer. What?
Not to mention they can't find golf balls as easily, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah,
they're
just humanized.
They can't bounce a golf ball off someone's head.
Yeah,
I mean, God forbid. And that was like that was their first complaint this year. Was like, we're going to lose so many golf balls, and it was like. Join the freaking club. Yeah. Holy
Welcome
crap.
to real golf.
Yeah.
Well, that thing with Bryson yesterday, they found it like 5 minutes after he left.
Yes.
Because they were looking in the wrong area.
Yeah.
So
well, that's what they were saying. The commentators
were
saying
so
they're too
real.
far left.
It's like, I have experienced this.
Yeah.
I do that every day.
Yeah. It should be right here. Can you go to the camera and tell me where it landed? No, we can't.
I lose golf balls a yard off the fairway. You should be losing more.
I go off of
this
one
time of year.
Yeah. I'm like, let's get a sleeve out to get through the first few holes.
It's actually like a partially legitimate argument for like the difference in amateur scoring, though. Like, I mean, obviously not to make up that difference. I'm just saying it's
penalty strikes.
There's a legit case to be made that it is way easier to lose a golf ball.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't change the whole round, but it's
this
like
was my line.
5 strokes. Absolutely. Yeah. Like for the average player.
Having caddied, I mean, you give the player their club and then go for caddy.
Yeah.
They don't. I mean, you know, if you're halfway decent as a caddy, they don't lose a ball.
Yeah.
Even if they do.
Yeah.
Well, in the average group of guys, like
here it is.
Yeah, found it for you.
Title is 4, 2. Oh yeah, 2.
Slazenger, right?
Yeah. Okay. Here it is.
Well, in the average group of guys, like they look for it for like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it was over here.
It's just like
that's gone.
Exactly.
Yeah. I got it, guys. You're 100 yards
but
from where
I guess,
winning.
you know what?
It
cancels then because they don't count those strokes.
Right.
Because they're just like, throw it down. You don't have to count it, you know. I had a student telling a story today that was like really an honest player, like following the rule book, and he was like, like my friends really kind of piss me off because they'll like hit 2 balls out of bounds, and then or I'll hit 2 balls out of bounds, and he did this in a round recently, and his buddy was like, "You gonna count both of them?" He was like,
yeah.
I'm taking lessons. I'm trying to be honest
I'm
with
supposed
myself.
to?
Like I need, like it's the rule book. And he was like, you can just count one of them.
Oh my god!
It's like,
which is
so
funny.
This is why golfers think they shoot 86 and they really shoot 94, and you're like,
oh I mean, it is funny. But as a casual golfer, like you understand both sides of that. Like, okay, you're out here taking yourself way too seriously. You're counting every stroke, and it's kind of making it harder on you.
Yeah.
And then there's the guy that's just relaxed, like, who cares? It's just another ball.
Yeah. Well, I think that's.
If you're trying to be accountable, though, like you want to be a better player, that's like totally fair.
I think you bring up a good point because that's a problem because it's a problem on a couple spectrums there. It's a problem that they're not being true to themselves. The other problem is it could be drastically slowing down pace of play. Is that person and the gentleman or the woman that says don't worry about it, just go on. They're saying that from a point of view of like we don't have time for you to hit 3 balls off the tee. We know that it's right to hit 3 balls off the tee, but like
hence the out of bounds rule change though.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
You save that time.
Yeah.
Now you just rack up strokes.
Yeah.
But I mean, it saves the tee shot though.
Yeah, that's very true.
A lot of people don't understand that little FYI about the out of bounds rule.
Yeah.
Right? It saves the tee shot and doesn't lose you more strokes. They look at it like, well, I'm out of bounds. I got to take 2 penalties.
Right.
Drop it in the fairway club length. Right. And it's like, well, that's stupid. And it's like, no, normally you'd have to re-tee with the nerves of just hitting one out of bounds. Right.
You got to hit the same shot.
And if you do it perfectly, you're still hitting 4.
Yes. Yeah.
You get to skip all that.
It's stroke and distance.
It's like huge advantage for you. It's like cheating.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to re-tee anymore.
So in all honesty,
Sycamore's rules are, and I like this. I'm in favor of it because Sycamore has so much native grass. Is everything's a lateral. So the local rule is everything's a lateral. So you go up and you drop.
That takes the air out of my hot take, but that's basically.
Sorry.
I've been saying this for a long time. Like every other professional sports endeavor has like 1 out of bounds designation. and so should golf.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's all lateral hazard,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah, I agree.
Get away from this, like, oh, it's a yellow or it's a red or it's OB. Like, just be done with it.
It's confusing.
It's marked red.
Or like
go drop by it and be done.
I've never played a round where someone doesn't go, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
Yeah. What
am I supposed to do?
Well, most people don't know.
Yeah. Even the pros. Courses, I'm not trying to be mean. You know, like there's rules officials there, and they're they're asking. They're like, what are my options?
Because the rule book is complicated.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like we've been through it. We took rules classes.
Yeah.
Gouge your eyes out.
Yeah.
It's just like there is a stipulation for everything. They even like put in there like what happens if you hit it into an alligator's mouth.
Yeah.
It's like,
don't be chubs.
Yeah.
It turns out. Yeah, exactly. Don't be chubs.
Don't be chubs. Yeah.
It turns out that's a dangerous situation.
Yeah, I guess it's real.
So you get
saw it in a movie once. Yeah. It's got to be real.
So the question is, did Chubbs lose a hand and a stroke?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Yes. Yeah.
Because he violated.
Did he still have to?
The ball was lost. Yeah. Where did he drop? Or
Let's
where?
be clear, that didn't
re-tee.
happen on the golf course. If you remember Happy Gilmore.
Oh, that is
That was
true.
in the apartment.
Well, that's right.
Right? Because he was gifting him the gator's head, and he was like, and he freaks out.
Well, no, that's not when he lost his hand. He had lost his hand.
Oh, you're right. No, he lost his hand
Yeah.
because of the gator.
Yes, yeah. And then he's, the gator that got your hand. I got his hand.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. And
I
he
need to
fell out
watch
the window.
Happy Gilmore again. Apparently.
Yeah.
So to go back to what you said, we have watched Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
You have not. Yeah.
For years, apparently. And it used to be my favorite movie.
Yeah.
What the hell happened?
Somebody asked me one time, what was the name of the nursing home in that movie?
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Happy.
that's a good question.
Is it Happy something?
No,
it's not. I'm not going to get it then.
I think it's Silver Oaks. It's like Silver Oaks or something like that.
Uh-huh.
I think someone thought it was like Shady
Mister,
Oaks. Yeah.
get me out of here.
You know that Mister lady? I think I just killed her. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I think it's time for another beer.
Do it. Bring it out.
For it.
We've
what's
got
what's our time? Where are we?
We're at 1:21.
Are we going
good.
too long?
No, I don't care. We can keep going. This is great.
Yeah, awesome.
Yes.
I'm having fun.
Yes.
Are you having fun?
Yeah.
Are you having fun?
Are you, the people at home, having fun? Well, actually, that's unfair. They're probably not at home.
Just to be clear, I can't open this with my teeth.
I would like to be clear, too.
Or belly button.
He can't
Have you
hear
seen
us.
the guys do that? That's just like...
Their belly button?
Yeah, you've never seen that?
No.
Yeah.
I've seen people do it with their wedding ring, and here I don't even have my wedding ring on.
You're a terrible spouse.
I take it off when I golf, and I forget to put it on, so it's literally in my golf bag all the time.
This goes out to Christina Snyder. I have mine on.
He has it on.
I just want to be clear.
Confirmed it is on.
I love you, babe.
Yeah.
I hope work's going good today.
I hope she listens
She's
to this.
working tonight.
She is?
Yeah.
What does she do?
She bartends.
Nice.
Yeah. So she's but she's a badass at it.
Nice.
She's really good at it.
She's like Cocktail, like Tom Cruise in Cocktail.
Yeah, and she works at
Toss that bottle opener over here.
Oh, sorry. It's a Leatherman,
safely.
so don't stab yourself.
Well, you may close it, and then I'll have to figure it out. Yeah, bring it. Let's do this. No, just throw it. Well, if it goes into my hand. There. See, look at that. It was perfect.
All right, perfect.
Everyone that's watching the YouTube video saw how great I caught that.
I feel like he just took my unfinished beer because, I have this one, but I don't think I finished that one. This is a problem.
Did you hand it to him?
No, he took it.
Are you sure?
Because he's an asshole.
You know what? In golf, you don't blame the other people, John.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm being Jordan Spieth.
Yeah.
Oh, I shouldn't say that publicly.
I can't even get that. I feel like I can't see anything.
I really feel like we created an awesome set here.
You did.
This is
this blew me away. I didn't know what I was really expecting.
So we use this banner for everything. I
love it.
Did you know?
This was out at the tournament, wasn't it?
I was gonna say, if you don't mind, could I plug that? Could I
Absolutely.
But
you guys still did it this year.
We did. Well, here's what's crazy. We did it this year. You say still did it.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. We're still gonna do it.
Still gonna
do it. And hopefully it goes.
Yeah.
Dude, it was 148 players.
That's full capacity.
It was one group over full capacity. So in our mind, again, we were like, well, we're gonna still do this, I guess. And I'm not kidding. 3 weeks before, we were throwing this shit together. This is gonna be a disaster.
Well, you guys asked me if we could do it, and I didn't. We couldn't do it. We couldn't commit.
It was so great. It came out so.
It looked
awesome.
great. It looked great.
148 players, and we just killed it. And a lot of people everyone out there really enjoyed being out there. We had a great time.
Good.
My wife actually ran. We we set up like this tent and this bar on 10 on Tiffany. If you know Tiffany, there's like
I've never played Tiffany.
Okay, well it's a par 3 over. It's pretty scenic, right? So it's a par 3 over water, and like there's a tee box like all the length of like the or half the length of the lake there, and then we set up a tent and had like a bar there. It was awesome.
It's unique because it doesn't come back to the clubhouse. So 9
it's away.
It's like as far away as you can.
That's what I'm used to. But like when I grew up, I grew up in Kansas City, but my grandparents had a house in Brownsville, Texas, and there's a club out there that has 2 18-hole golf courses, and both of the 9 and 10 are as far, it's out. That's where the out and in comes. Comes from. And they don't do that anymore. Most golf courses come back to the clubhouses. But
it's too inconvenient. I mean, people don't want to dedicate 2 hours, let alone 4. To play 18. So,
oh man.
So the coolest part was like that we number one filled it, right, and it was partly because of a couple surprise groups like on the day.
Oh,
like,
really?
So we're like, kind of. A week before, we're like, all right, we'll cap it at, what was it, 132 or something like that. And then like on the day of, we're like, we're at 148. Do we have enough golf carts? And then
we started worrying about food.
We started worrying about food and golf.
Like, oh my goodness.
But like,
go get hot dogs.
Huge shout out. Huge shout out to the sponsors. And I mean, like, that's like what an amazing support group of people that we had that dedicated time, not only, and also money, like businesses, small businesses, like clients of ours, like amazing people. And it's hard not to get behind like veterans and first responders dealing with PTSD.
Yeah.
I would hope not.
You need to talk with Firefighter Golf.
That's another podcast that we can't cover, but it's like there is this whole nother segment, right? And we're lucky enough to sit here and talk about golf, but you have these people that deal with things that are far worse.
Yeah.
Right.
Real life problems.
Like real life problems. We're talking about stresses of golf, and like these people are just trying to survive day by day, dealing with their traumas.
It's crazy.
And it's like, it's easy to sound dramatic, but like the fact that the organization we did this for has had their own suicides like in-house. Yeah. And it's just like, man, this never gets enough attention. And even if you give it attention, it's still not getting enough attention.
Yeah.
Well,
it won't federally, and it needs to be privatized more attention.
Absolutely. So 100% agree with that.
These people need so much help. So
they don't know what they're going through is not right. Like that's
right.
And so this morning I recorded with Firefighter Golf and we talked a lot about that
like PTSD and stuff.
PTS and PTSD.
Oh, gotcha.
And he went through it himself, and he was like, he told the story, and he got kind of emotional during the recording, and he said, I came home and I yelled at my son for nothing.
Wow.
Like I don't. He was like, and that's the thing is, these first responders or whatnot that are going through this. It's triggers. That isn't. They don't know that it's really a trigger,
totally.
and they're in an emotional state that they don't know how to get out of it. And so he talked a lot about. His name's Steve Pope. He talked a lot about recognizing and trying to get into getting through it. So he could recognize like, okay, I would start to have like my jaw would tighten. I could feel tension in my jaw, like I was getting into that state where I was getting out of control is probably not the right word, but not being able to know the emotional state that they were going through. So
getting anxiety, basically.
Anxiety, yeah. And I think to me, like I was trying to equate it to some of the things that we've all gone through. I think the traumatic situations that people go through, there's extremes of them. What we're talking about are very high extreme situations, but there are everyday things that can be traumatic that are, that can be triggers.
Without question.
Yeah. And I think that's what I was trying to equate it to. Like I've had some jobs where harassment is probably the extreme situation of it, but where you're never good enough at that wears you down after a while.
It does. It does. And I've had some friends that have struggled with that. COVID, the silver lining for me this year speaking directly to that, was I posted an article about my failed suicide attempt when I was 17. And so I've kind of really like emotionally connected with these first responders and veterans that they've gone through things that I've never even seen or heard of.
Right.
and they're having to process it, and they have families and stuff, and looking at my 2 young boys, I'm just thinking like, well, how do I better myself and know that I need to process this information? It was just something that had kind of been sitting in the back of my mind for, close to 20 years.
Yeah.
And so that was, with Jon's permission, I was just like, I kind of want to share this story and get this out and just tell people there's hope. And, and so that was a really kind of cathartic moment for me back in May when I posted that, because it was something that, little did I know, had been sitting there for so long.
Yeah.
It kind of happened so long ago. I really went a long time without even addressing it, and sometime last year it kind of got kicked back up, and I was like, you know what, I gotta do something.
Yeah.
Do something with this. And for me, Jon's kind of more private. I just thought, well, there's a lot of people that struggle with this.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of social media.
Yeah.
You can put something out there that so many people struggle with, and the response was incredible, because there's perfect strangers reaching out, students that we talk to, that we teach, that were like, yeah, I've struggled with these thoughts and this stuff. And so it was extremely cathartic and really healing from that end. And so, yeah, man, that just the fact that we have this platform to try and help, veterans and stuff like that is just, it's amazing, because I have such a heart for our military and first responders, and Jon does too. I mean, it's an easy connection for us. Obviously, I mean, who wouldn't want to help our veterans? But that that
not enough people.
Unfortunately, not enough people.
Yeah,
well, maybe not.
You say that, but it's way too easy for it to be forgotten.
Well,
about.
I think there's a couple things that you said. First, I think it's really courageous of you to go back in time and talk about something that probably isn't easy for you to talk about, but
certainly
there's a lot of good that could come from that. So I think that's really courageous of you to do something. And that sounds, to me, I think, someone, I think you're courageous. There's different levels of being courageous. Like to look within and say, like, I can help somebody, that maybe you don't know you can help. I think that's really great. And then you brought up that's the good in social media. I think there is a lot of good to be had with that in social media, because what a lot of these, first responders or military or veterans or whatnot are going through is it's normal for a lot of them. And I'm not trying to dumb it down, but they don't realize that how they're feel
to it.
Yeah. How they feel. Let's say men more than women. I know women are going through this, but men, we don't share our emotions. Yeah. I'm just saying for the example of and so I think the power of what you're saying with the social media is to normalize it. It's okay. It's okay to not understand what you're feeling, and to figure out how to know what you're feeling.
And I had the foresight in my early 20s, because a friend of mine went into EMT school and became an EMT, and for a long time now has been doing that job, and is very open about his struggles. Yeah, because most of the time you're seeing people on the worst day of their life.
Yep. Yeah.
And to try and manage that. And I knew, especially at that time, being 23 or 4, I was like, no, I wouldn't be able to handle that. Maybe today, with the maturity I have now, I maybe could get into that. But the reality is I'm too empathetic of a person to get into that line of work. And I kind of knew that. At the time. And so I was like, well, let's look a different route. Because I looked at enlisting at several times, and just other stuff came up. And so, but yeah, and that's why I think for me, there's even times where I carried dedicated service guilt, where it's like, well, I should have.
Yeah,
I should
absolutely.
have done that, and I didn't. And so it which is a weird thing.
Well, you meet somebody. I think you meet somebody that has served, and you like you said, you feel
look
very
up to
empathetic. Absolutely,
admire them.
I mean,
admire
absolutely.
The hell out of
and
them.
then I think it sounds extreme, but it's like then you look at yourself and like, what have I done?
Right.
like I didn't go
teach golf for a living.
Yeah, I have to defend our country.
It's easy to say that every day, though. I mean, you do the same thing with celebrities,
right? Oh yeah, totally.
Which, by the way, like most of the time, you wouldn't really want to live their life. I mean, beyond the constant, money, it's like actually they're badgered constantly.
I think Joe Rogan talked about that on a recent podcast of him. He's like, I
love his podcast.
I do too. I love it too. But he's like, you have no idea how many people reach out to me and they're like, hey, give me some help. Let me do that. Do this one thing for the. And he's like, it sucks, but he goes, I have to ignore it. If I responded to one, then I have to respond to all of them. And he's like, it's thousands.
Oh,
it's not like 4.
Oh, as visible as he is, sure.
Well, he's famous. He's pretty famous.
Very
but
famous.
like, I mean, I mean, just to plug Joe Rogan a bit, I guess. But like, what's so cool about his podcast is like his genuine thirst for knowledge. Is so cool.
Or just having a conversation.
He's not wrapped up in the biased crap. Like whether you're talking political or anything, it's just he really wants to know how people think and why they think that way from all angles.
Well,
which is why I appreciate what he does so much.
And he has his political views. He has his view on things, but he's very objective in his approach to
yeah. And by the way, I mean, to say we live in some kind of like world where people can be unbiased is kind of ludicrous. Yeah. Like that's ridiculous.
We all have opinions.
But
we need to listen to people.
Like, that's what's important. Like the importance isn't that you're unbiased. Like even as a news source, it's like you're there to report the news for sure, but like to say that people don't have opinions is ridiculous. We're not robots, right?
They're reporting the news, but they also have to, they're investors.
Depends on what branch you're in, but I mean, the point is that to expect a world where there's no emotion and no opinionated response is stupid.
Yeah.
It's like, and you don't want to live in that world.
Like what's bad about it? Like I think not to get too broad in politics, but I think where we need to get back to as a nation is understanding that it's okay to have some different viewpoints.
Yes, I agree.
And we
100%.
actually we become better people by discussing those different viewpoints.
About it.
Because it's not about just swaying one another, but it's actually learning that both sides have something to contribute.
His idea, and his being Joe Rogan, his idea of having the presidential debate, having him moderating it at the studio was I was like, please. I was like, let's
for that too.
Yes, because it was like, and he cracks me up because he talked about it several times, and he's like, if someone says I never said that, then like, well, actually, here's the footage of you saying exactly what you just said. Can you explain that further than Mr. President or Vice President? That just cracked me up. I was like, that's exactly what we need. So
just because and I think COVID's really amped things up. I mean, this year, like 2020, we keep saying is the year of like shit's hitting the fan.
Well, everyone's more social media is being consumed more than ever, and it's because there's more downtime. People are at home.
A lot of emotional response.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, which when you're talking about mental health, I mean, it's the worst it's ever been because of all this stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, people are trapped at home. Like they've talked a lot about the suicide numbers, the domestic violence numbers, like all that stuff went up when COVID hit and we shut down.
It's crazy.
So.
You know what's funny though? You get people involved in their communities, like they're actually pretty amazing with each other. On a broad level.
Yeah.
There's a few people that are troublemakers.
I think
but you get people discussing and solving problems together on both sides. They're pretty good together.
It is, but you have to have the problem sometimes is, and I've seen this, and is they don't even want to have a conversation.
Oh, totally.
And that's where you have to be willing enough to say, not that you're wrong, but let's just because like there is tons of opportunity for people to come together to do good.
I would say that what you're talking about generally happens on a broad, like a mass
Very
scale,
broad,
though. Because if you get someone one-on-one, almost always it's cordial.
Yeah, if you can, people hide behind the power of email and hide behind the power of social media.
Yeah, the keyboard warrior stuff drives me nuts.
Like walk over and like
have a conversation.
You know how many people probably through COVID and stuff like that got to know their neighbors better than they knew before. I mean, us for sure. My wife and I mean, we've spent more time with our neighbors than we ever have. Having dinners. Because it was like that's all you could do,
or your own family.
Our own families too.
As ridiculous as it is, I saw my wife more in 5 weeks than I normally see in like a whole damn year.
Yes,
and they're still married.
It's amazing. I know. Yes,
that was the joke. Was people were like, "How are you guys not killing each other?" And we're like, "We never see each other. We're loving this. Like the fact that we get to hang out. And, for us, it was simple things like camping and just getting away from that like." We kind of diverted there, I guess, off subject, but like that was
there is no subject.
That's right. Yeah. But that was the release of the COVID shutdown, which, circling back to the beginning of our discussion, which was like, you kind of got to figure out like what's important in life again, and just kind of reset yourself. And it's overall, I think it's been a good thing. We're lucky because we're in the golf business and we get to keep doing what we're doing. There's still a lot of people that want to play golf, but that was the beauty in that for us. Like it got us reconnected with some things that, we just aren't normally getting connected with.
Well, I think you have to adjust.
You're talking about neighbors, but
I'm with you though. I think you could have taken. Anyone could take that opportunity of I'm at home all the time now and flipped it into a very negative area. Well, you can't do that. You got to flip that into a positive. What can we do? You know, like I remember I got more house projects done than I've ever done before. You know, I was like, I got
stuff. Yeah.
I can fix that.
I did landscaping at a place that we rent.
Oh wow!
I was like,
wow!
John got desperate. Yeah.
I was like, you know what?
That just you know what that sounds like? Boredom.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yes. Yeah.
I mowed my yard. Don't you rent that place?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I bought a lawnmower.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Are you planning to buy a home soon?
Man.
No.
Not even. I just needed a mower.
It's a riding lawnmower.
Yeah.
You have 100 square foot area.
It was a pretty good little Saturday. We went to Home Depot.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll have time.
Hey, it's like 300 square feet.
Yeah. You milked that. You were out there with scissors.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Honey, see what I did? I put the Imperial logo in the yard.
Pretty much exactly what happened, actually.
Not
That's
again.
Exactly what went down. Yeah.
Are you done yet?
And then I lit it on fire because why not?
Now what'd you do? Oh, gosh. Stop it.
Turns out we need all new sod.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Exactly. Yeah. It was Bermuda, and I wanted rye. Yeah. That's so good.
Now we're getting off topic.
Yeah.
For sure.
So so people who can see us, talk a little bit about where we're at. I know we're in Imperial, and John just poured beer all over himself, but that's
so.
fine.
On that note, this is our traditionally
It's
our
not
simulator room.
No, not at all. We're not drinking.
It's because it bubbled.
That's not beer. That's water.
Yeah. Anyway,
what
was your question?
We're sitting in what is our simulator.
This is entertaining. This is our simulator.
This is awesome.
Thanks
for setting this up.
Of course,
the bay is right behind us, so the projector shoots this way. So,
I love it. All our lessons are out in the next room. This one is kind of just hidden. It's dimly lit, kind of the man cave, so to speak.
Would love to have this in your house for sure.
Yeah,
without question. Comfy chairs, TV.
This is coming to my house,
stuff.
right?
So but this is where people can rent it by the hour and come play golf with their buddies.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a heck of a facility, and you guys have done a fantastic job, and it's been really
that.
cool.
Thank you.
I mean, I was blown. I had no expectation. Like I didn't.
That's good.
Like, I didn't even look on.
That's good.
Seen it yet?
Well, I hadn't seen it yet. I've looked on the website, but I didn't. I think it is different seeing it in person than seeing it on the website. I looked at the website a long time ago when we recorded a year ago,
right?
And I really didn't look at it again. And then I, walking in and seeing it from the front, from where I pulled up, and then I parked in the back and coming through. It's impressive. You guys have done an incredible job. I mean, it's very not standard in a good way. Of you're breaking the norm of putting a modern vibe on golf, So.
Yeah, because we all know that we're not necessarily the first to do like high speed video, and like the indoor instruction isn't a brand new thing, but our attention to detail is probably overkill at times, and I mean
maybe too much.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you guys have some heated conversations about that?
Heated? No,
not heated. We actually jive pretty well.
We're very much on the same page with stuff. I would say, and most of the design features. I mean, that's John. His eye for stuff and his background in this area. I put my 2 cents in where it's needed and where it's allowed, and that's about it. But the reality is, we had the space we had. And so it was really just about maximizing the square footage that we were given and working with. And
so if anything, we're overtly critical about it, probably.
Yeah,
like it's really nice.
And we're kind of numb
to it. You're passionate, is what I would say. Listening to you both talk about it, you're passionate. Like, and what I mean, talk about it when we were out in the bays.
When we built it out, the first couple months, man, we were like, this place is cool. This is awesome. Yeah. This is really cool.
Everyone needs to come see what we have created.
Yeah. And now we're just like,
yes.
Well, it's like golf, right? Like you hit that new low score and your expectations go up. And like now we've had this discussion with Patriot Outreach and the possibility of that growth project. Yeah. And like that kind of sets your sights on something that's a different scale.
Boom.
So it's easy for us to see this as like, it's cool.
We're used to it.
It's a
new set of irons.
But you're numb to it. You guys are here every day.
I've gotten 3 new sets of Mizunos at this point. They're all good. They're amazing.
Right.
But and it doesn't make them any less amazing. You just get kind of numb to it, I guess. But And I guess we've kind of maxed this place out. We can't really do much more with it until we grow. And but like, I mean, the whole theme around all of it isn't like just some weird obsessive, attention to detail. It's that we feel that business is like, it's a very important interaction. It's a relationship with people.
Yeah.
So it goes beyond the
process.
fact that, like, to us, it's a process. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Ding.
Yeah.
So ImperialGolfKC.com.
Trigger
so,
word.
but like, no, it's seriously a relationship. And I have a lot of clients that own businesses that think exactly the same way.
Yeah.
And so, like, totally different businesses, right? Like lawn and landscape type stuff. Like, I mean, just every kind of business you can think of.
And why did you mow your yard?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Boredom.
Stupid. Boredom. Dude, 5 weeks off, it'll do a lot too.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but anyways, like, that relationship is super important, especially as coaches. Everything that we do is based off trust. So if a person doesn't trust what we're doing, we're screwed. Because that means they walk in the door and they're already not open to the process from the get-go, and everything we say is just bouncing off their head anyways.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it stems from like, we have an attention to detail, but more importantly, partly why we're exhausted every week is we invest ourselves into people every single day.
Oh, you're giving
And I don't
yourself,
mean give lessons. I mean, like, we're coaching them to a deep level. We're trying to understand how they think.
Psychologically.
And it's like, they don't always realize that. And that's not their fault. They just...
No,
like,
because they're here 30 minutes. And
they're here 30 minutes and they're out.
Day. Yeah.
But
we're
like,
always on.
and that's, I'm not afraid to say that in a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, we really do pour ourselves out, like, more than people sometimes realize. And that's because we care so much about this game and, like, about the relationships we build with people. And
I think it's more than the game. I'm just knowing the two of you, knowing you two for the last year, and not that we hang out a lot, but like
we should.
I think we should. You're right.
We're all married,
I think it's more about the fact that you care so much about the people. And the people then are the game. I think it's really like, you see from the high school kids that you coach and stuff, and getting them potentially to the next level of college and stuff like that, to the amateur golfer, is, I think you want the wins. The wins that your people that you're coaching have are your wins too, and to some degree. You're emotionally invested in that. And I can remember, I'm trying to make it so people can relate, but like, I can remember when, I just felt like there was never a break is not the right word. That sounds negative, but it was just like you're constantly on you're investing.
No, totally.
The first, you get done with one lesson, you have to bounce into like, it's the first lesson of the day as the next person walks in. So it's emotionally draining. So what you do as coaches is incredible. And so I think that's where, I think it's you invest so much in the people that are walking in the door, which you should. I mean, they are they're only going to be the best version of themselves if you are the best version of yourself.
And if we don't do that, I mean, we don't have business. So it's like, it's not just about that we should do that. It's like, no, we don't stand out as coaches in any way if we don't do that.
Right.
Because, like, a lot of people don't get that, like, the magical fix or the concept isn't what makes a coach, right? It's the ability to be a leader and like, train them through a process.
To relate to the person that's in front of you.
You'll have light bulb moments. And you know what's funny? Like, even as invested as we are, we have really bad moments with students too.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, today was a bad lesson.
Yeah.
Like, nothing worked.
Yeah.
But you know what makes it different with us is like, we're like, all right, next time we're ready to re-engage and we're going to completely figure this out.
Right.
And you never give up.
But when you say bad lesson, that doesn't mean that you weren't on your game. Like
oftentimes it means our perception of it is way worse than theirs.
Yeah. Yes. I would agree. That's what,
Like to us, it's a failure.
Right.
To the student, they learn some things, they move on. Like we're that invested. It's to the point where, like, I mean, I'm getting better at this now, but where you'd lose sleep over it.
Right.
It's like, I'm at home. I've worked 13 hours, and it's just like, I'm thinking about a student that wasn't getting a concept, and like, there is no way they're that worried about it.
Sounds like you need to have the goals and expectations talk with yourself.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good thing though. Like I'd rather be that way and learn how to taper it down and just like balance it.
Yeah.
Than not give a shit. Because
I totally agree.
I've known too many people in my life that don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's a huge turnoff.
Or absolutely.
I don't want to hang out with
You don't want to be around them. Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, granted, I like my moments of letting go and relaxation, but like with people without a purpose in life is a huge turnoff.
Yeah.
It's like if you're not inspired by anything, it's like, well, then why even live? Like, why be here?
Right.
So I have to be around people that are.
That might be a little extreme, but
more.
Yeah. I just wanted.
I didn't mean it like. No, you're taking it wrong.
Well,
I didn't mean it like that.
You're
like
right,
the
yeah.
dark level. I just mean like,
sorry.
why go out and do anything?
Yeah.
Why go out and do anything?
Got it. Okay.
It's like if you feel that way about life, then why even aspire to be anything? It's like you might as well sit at home and eat Cheetos and not do a damn thing.
Look at social media.
Yeah. I'm sorry it came across that.
No. I was just trying to clear the air of because we've talked about PTS and we've
suicide
PTSD.
hotline.
Yes,
I was like, oh my god,
let's not. Yeah.
This went completely the wrong direction.
Yeah.
No,
that gotcha.
All I meant was
the irony.
Yeah.
Obviously, we need to be surrounded by people that inspire us, and that's like. It's a bit cheesy, but I get that from my mom. Like my mom's business is built around.
I don't think it's cheesy.
So
I think it's right. Yeah.
It's like,
I think it's something
for a
the world-
guy to come on. Like guys don't talk about
right,
this
which
shit that often. Which
again is where you're generalizing.
It
Those
is
are
generalizing,
the things that, and you're not wrong.
Yeah.
But that's where guys really struggle with that stuff. You know,
Oh my
because
gosh,
we say cheesy things like that all the time. But
especially in our marriages.
It's to drive home a point.
Well,
you know?
we're masking though too. You're covering up like not dealing with something emotional of like maybe how you really feel. You're compensating by saying maybe something funny. I know. I when I might be angry or something like that, I use humor to diffuse the situation. But
that's me too.
Yeah,
because we don't want to look weak. I mean, guys don't want to look weak.
God forbid.
And that's like, growing up on a farm and family.
And this is a golf podcast, by the way.
This got deep
yes,
fast.
it did.
We're already
Where
weak.
are we?
Someone's going to be crying in a minute. I need
exactly. Yeah.
You're right. I am terrible.
Yeah. Exactly. How do I hit a wedge? Yeah. No, this is good.
It's like the relationship part of the business is so important to us. So yes, you're right that we care about people to I think a slightly deeper level than many.
Which as this grows and expands, I think that'll blossom and change because that's where he and I talk a lot this time of year to get better at that.
Yeah, and how do you? That's an interesting segue into something. Maybe is like how do you grow it and keep that level of personal?
It's extremely hard.
Yeah.
Because now it's like if you don't, and this is why, I mean, to throw no shade on any, I won't say any names, but like anyone publicly, but when you try to mass market golf instruction, it just can't work. Because it's like you're talking about personal coaching.
Yeah.
How do you recreate something when you don't have, 1,000 people on exactly the same page?
Right.
It's like you have 50 people that are.
Yeah.
But you have 950 that, they just want a job.
Yeah.
So like the answer is you can't.
Yeah.
You can scale it to a small degree, but it means you're going to be doing a lot of filtering. Like every hire is going to be meticulous, and it's like understand what our mission is and what our process is, and we'd rather be, as a quick example, 5 locations with standout people than 100 locations with crap people. It's like. So what we're talking about now is not golf anymore. It's business, right?
Yeah.
Like any business knows that the people make the business.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever their process is, whatever they're selling, it has to be a process that everyone's on the same page of.
Yeah. Are you buying into this or you're not?
That sounds simple, but it's not the
Very
case
hard.
for a lot of companies.
Right.
Well, everyone comes in. I mean, and I'm just thinking of like everyone has their own goals. That they're trying to get in, and yes, you're
fine.
hiring. Yeah, absolutely,
which is fine.
But it's jiving those. Yeah, absolutely. That's not to discourage somebody to come. I'm just in general not saying here, but like you should have your own goals, but you should try to figure out how with the company that you might be working with or something like that. You should. How do those goals align?
And we saw this situation play itself out with the company we worked for prior to this operation. And that was a big problem. Was trying to find good, motivated, hardworking people that were kind of in line with their vision, and we saw that firsthand. Which I mean, that's our next big hurdle. To answer your question, we don't know yet.
And that's fine.
So
and I wasn't
going to discover that.
But to be clear, it has nothing to do. Like when we say we want people that are on the same page, they in no way should they be exactly you. That's
Right.
that's not
Right.
to be misconstrued.
No. Yeah.
You want like people to be themselves and to
Yes.
and to be passionate in their own ways.
Inspire.
Like it's not something where we're like, you have to be this, and this. It's like, no, you have to be passionate.
Yeah.
If you're passionate to learn and you want to grow, like, I mean, we're the type of company that I would like to think that in the future, you know, I'm easily swayed with good evidence and that I'm not doing something right.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No,
I want to be able to hire someone new and have them feel comfortable enough to be like, this probably isn't the best way to go about it.
You want to
And then
create an
make me think about
environment.
it.
You want to create an
Yeah.
environment where someone feels comfortable to be themselves.
Yeah.
So that
Exactly.
because that creates an environment to where they can
Yeah.
be the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
And there's
Without a
not a
doubt.
lot of companies. You know, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard in this day and age with technology and everything like that is to create an environment where people can be creatively free.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
come to work,
Yeah.
express themselves in a way. It doesn't mean they walk in and say, "Hey, fuck you, fuckers." You know, I'm not saying you do that, but
Well, we're
but-
not hiring
now
Stifler,
we,
but
yeah.
now we can swear more. I didn't realize we
Yeah.
could swear that much.
Yes, you
If
can
my mom's
swear.
ever gonna watch
We're
this,
2 beers
fuck
in.
me.
It's
My
good,
mom's
yeah.
gonna watch this. That's,
but you know what I mean, though. You understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying is
Oh,
like
100%.
you
Yeah.
have to create
Yeah.
that environment
Yeah.
where people are capable of coming into work every day and being like, I can express myself in any way I want to, and no one is going to judge me for that.
And we kind of ran into those hurdles too, because it was like
the
you
two
know,
of
there
you
was-
when
yeah,
you're saying that, yeah,
Yeah, because to some degree, like you'd have a conference call and it was like, this is how we want you guys to do things and this and that. And John and I both saw the holes in that pretty quickly with the message they were delivering and how they were wanting to.
it's tough
Yeah.
to keep your mouth
push.
shut.
Well, when people put
which
words
I
in your
didn't.
mouth,
He's better at that. He's
Wow.
he's good at being diplomatic.
that's interesting because, like I would say that you've been quiet and he's much more talkative. Yeah.
What?
You're just.
I don't
Is
know.
it
Should
me?
Should
Is
I
it
shut
me?
up then?
Is it me? Is it me?
No,
Should I
I don't
stop
know.
talking?
Yeah. No.
No, I'm
no,
very
but-
free to share my opinion. The problem is that, and I've kind of learned how to be more diplomatic. I mean,
Yeah.
shoot, this was.
Well, you say you get to the
2012.
point. You get to the point.
It's
right,
a matter
yeah.
of fact, and
Yeah.
not that John doesn't either. It's just
Yeah.
that he's very good about articulating his point, whereas I'm kind of brash when I say things.
I don't think you're brash.
And so,
yeah.
well, and in this environment,
You
it's
haven't
a
seen
little
him in the
different.
right moments.
Time is essence. Time is essence to you.
Yeah.
It's like just let me get to the point.
Hang
here.
out here for one day.
Yeah.
You'll know what he's talking
Exactly.
about.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's
I'll just do some podcasts
I'm
from
kidding,
here,
man.
and I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, did you see what,
What did he
did?
just say to that student?
They hit that guy.
Yeah, physically
Stop doing
hit him.
that!
Yeah.
Like JT, you have to understand.
Yeah.
They don't receive that well.
Yeah.
You-
yeah,
I didn't mean literally hit them over the head.
Yeah.
yeah. Metaphorically,
That's
Yeah.
That's
yeah. Sometimes you just gotta hit them over the head with that message. Yeah,
no. It's just kind of one of those things where we really are looking for the people that are as passionate as we are, and in this industry, those people are usually working for themselves.
yeah.
They're usually running their own
Entrepreneurs.
academies. Yep.
Yeah,
or they're trying to run the ranks of the country club, and
Right.
and that's not most of them.
Yeah.
You get a lot of people that are comfortable in their jobs, and again, we're not throwing shade at people that want to do that. There's nothing like wrong with
but-
getting comfortable and finding a gig you like and staying there long term.
Mhm.
Like all we're saying is that we're driven by people that to a degree just aren't ever satisfied.
Yeah.
I mean, not to make that sound
relationships
bad, but
build.
they want to
business.
keep growing personally. So a big turnoff to us is when someone says, "You know what? I'm good enough."
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just not our
Yeah.
thing. Like, and I like that's been a realization for me, you know, in a past partnership too. I won't get too detailed there, but like,
You did on the
It's-
first podcast, don't
I
worry.
did a little
Yeah,
bit.
Yeah, yeah.
well, not really. I mean, I'm not divulging specific
We don't have to do that.
details, but like the point is that I've like that was a realization for me is like I'm really not okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like with a person that says,
What do you-
I know what I
yeah.
need to know, and it's like
Yeah.
What do you want to be as a
that's
human?
like that's the most uncool thing to me.
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
like I have a lot of imperfections that I'm willing to work on, but
Yeah.
like that is just man, that I can't even comprehend that. That shit keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
How do
'Cause
you
as-
live your life every day
as a
like
business
thinking that
grows-
I'm good enough,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Status
And
quo.
it's
Well, I think you have to balance. I think you have to balance. I
not
gave
to
it.
confuse that with being content and happy with
No.
who you are. I'm just saying like in life and in career. How
Well,
do you,
I think
you
you
know,
have to. I think where my brain went, and I think is the fact that you have to be satisfied that you gave it your all. in a day.
Yeah.
You
Well,
have
yeah.
it, and,
Yeah.
and it doesn't mean you can't improve. So every day you need to improve. You need
Yeah.
to work on, okay, what did I do yesterday that I could do better?
Yeah.
And that's hard. You know, some people are okay with just being like, you know what,
it's good enough.
I punched the
It's good
ticket.
enough.
I punched the button. I did what I needed to do, and I'm going to go to bed now.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't work for
and
everybody.
the good enough mentality, right? That's not saying like I have friends that are like that. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. It's just I'm saying for me, like it's almost an acknowledgement of me. For me to be at my best, I can't really hang around those people.
No, because and that
It's
is
a reflection of me, not them.
how much is a struggle of that's a really good point of because you meet people in your life and you've experienced things with them in high school. Let's just say it's high school, and you're like, oh, that was my high school best friend, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think the best people in life, you know, you can maintain that relationship, but that doesn't mean you have to invest everything into that relationship, specifically if it's not good for you. You know, if it's not, because what's happening is that compounds into the fact if you're not being the best version of yourself, what is that doing to everyone that's around you in the day-to-day of your life now? You know, like I think about that a lot.
That's part of just being an adult. I mean, you grow up and you filter that stuff.
What are you saying? I'm not an adult? Is that what you're saying? No.
You're not.
Yeah.
You're a child.
I know.
No, I'm saying like
6'1"
you,
and
like
100
what you're saying is you
Yeah.
filter friendships and like you,
I agree with that. Yeah.
It's like there's a reason why most of us go.
If
from
I can't achieve
that
my goals,
to group of 10 friends to 2 or whatever. It's just because like, you know what, if they don't really align with what I want out of life, then it's not that I don't like them or don't want to spend time with them like casually. It's totally fun. Like it's just that it's acknowledging what's good for you.
Yeah. Well, I think we've all experienced as you get older how much you value what free time you have.
Yeah.
And there are fewer and fewer people that you're willing to let have that free time.
What am I trying to accomplish? Let's just say in a day.
Yep.
In my day, I'm going to divide it into these increments of time.
Right.
And I want to spend my time doing this and this and this. And who is part of that?
And our days at the shop are so structured. You know, you get to your weekends and it's kind of like, well, I'm going to just let things happen.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to just relax and let loose a little bit and just let my days be what they will be. And
that doesn't work here.
Yeah.
Imperial.
It just doesn't.
Yep.
No, everything's structured.
Well, guys,
sure.
we're 2 beers deep.
Yeah.
We're over 2 hours.
So it's about that time.
I think it's time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it? Let's.
It's been an absolute pleasure, though.
Yes.
You guys
so
are great.
much for coming out.
Talk a little. You know, what do you want people to know about Imperial? You know.
Well, I guess what we want people to know is that.
And I'm sorry, I should Imperial Golf. I should say it the whole way. I'm sorry.
No,
you're
fine.
good.
And actually, we want to be just Imperial someday.
Yeah,
that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's hard considering
bigger vision.
Imperial Headwear.
Yeah,
we love you guys too.
Right.
Imperial Headwear.
No,
that's interesting. Yeah,
they're fantastic.
Spelled differently.
Did you know that they provided us a lot of products for our tournament?
Really?
Awesome. Yeah,
it is spelled differently though, right?
It's just Imperial.
It's just Imperial Headwear. Yeah.
Isn't it E instead of I?
No.
Oh, I don't know why I thought that.
No.
Oh.
But anyways, I mean,
we'll delete that from this episode. No.
And lawsuit.
Yes.
No, I think what we want people to know is that, like, on a somewhat broad note, that, you know, it sounds kind of prototypical, but don't let COVID completely dictate your life. I mean, like, golf is like one of those activities that you can like fully engage in the midst of everything that's going on. And honestly, we probably need more golf because it's like this has been a stressful year. So
I do.
I need to play golf. More. Like, and people say golf's stressful. Not like this year has been. It's an innocent kind of stressful. Yeah. So, I mean, I think we just want to encourage people to like really delve into this game. Use this year as an excuse to really get more into it. And I mean, of course, there's a million ways I could go with that, but I'm sure you've got more to say there.
Well, we've seen that play out too. We've had so many people that were like, well, thanks to COVID, you know, I picked up golf again and stuff. And so and that's great. But it's cool. Just the fact that it's a non-judgmental environment. I mean, we have beginners, you know, up to the competitive player, kids as young as 7, 8 years old. I've got a student who's 85. I mean, it's the full spectrum, you know, and we really, because we're relationship focused, we customize that experience to the golfer. Yeah. You know, our programs online are listed so that we're transparent. They can see kind of what's there from a structure standpoint, and then with each golfer that comes through the door, it's kind of what is it that you need? What's your timeline? What's your competitive, goals? What is it you're looking for? And then just playing that accountability partner that they're asking for, which I think some people are just afraid to do, to be honest, because we have some not contentious discussions, but we get on people occasionally where it's like, listen, you're paying me to do this. Stop doing what you're doing, let's be real here. And
we love
do you want to get better or not?
Yeah. Well, that's just it, man. You have to have those real discussions. And that's what Jon was talking about, that emotional investment to each player where, I think he and I both now have really learned how to process that and kind of leave work at work. But the reality is you do kind of like, well, why isn't this guy getting it yet? Yeah. Why isn't this golfer, understanding this then?
Part of the emotional investment is the fact that we're willing to go to the level to call people out. I mean, that's
right.
That's tiring.
You're coaches.
That's exhausting.
Psychological and golf coaches.
Because the moment you kind of call someone out on their shit, which you're opening yourself up for them doing the same to you, right? But it's like that's
why
where
didn't you sell that last time?
You went down a wormhole when you did that, and that's right. But you get a lot of country clubbers like that. It's like that's the joke in our business is they're coming in and paying you for your advice, but they don't really want your advice. Yeah. And it's like, in that moment, it's important to be like, then why the hell
are you here? Why are you paying me?
Because we all have that friend that texts you and you're just like, I'm not responding. This is going to be a 2-hour conversation, And sometimes that as a coach, you're like, all right, if I really call them on this, it's probably not what they want to hear.
Right. Yeah. But that's the truth.
But
you got to be honest.
That's what being a coach is. And we've really gotten away from the term instructor because of that. Like coach is all encompassing. Yeah. You're going top to bottom. I would say Butch Harmon is an amazing coach because of that. You've seen transformations in people like Phil Mickelson, who finally won a British Open when he switched to Butch. Ricky Fowler has not really performed to his potential, in my opinion, but he really progressed. Yeah. Well, the reality is, I don't know that Ricky takes himself seriously enough, to be honest with you. Yeah.
But he's got endorsements.
The point is that there's a lot of guys on tour that are comfortable with their life, and I wouldn't blame them, quite honestly. It's got to be a thrill to play golf for a living. But the point being is, we're trying to really hold those people accountable to day one. This is what you asked for. Here we are 6 weeks in. This is what progress looks like. And you see a lot of parallels in fitness where people are like, oh, yeah, I did great for, for 3 weeks.
So,
and then they, off the deep end.
What you're basically highlighting there, which I think we've always
you guys are going to have to keep going.
Tried to do.
I have to pee so bad.
You held out really well.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, we're plugging Imperial, so if
you keep going.
Go for it.
Go, please.
No, I think what you're really
is going to be great.
Yeah. What you're really trying to say is that.
Can we actually share our real opinion about Billy now?
Yeah, we can actually talk about Billy, how we actually feel. No, what you're really saying is that you're invested in their game in a whole nother level.
Right.
I mean, you're and as we always joke, we don't give lessons, we coach.
Right.
Like that's a big key for me.
Yeah.
And it's another cheesy line that's like, we don't give lessons. We don't give tips, but we coach. But like that's an important distinction. And even telling my own parents about that, they like maybe it's just because it's my mom, and she loves me no matter what.
Sounds like something Gandhi would say.
But she really she's very responsive to that distinction.
Right.
And it's like the difference between coaching people and giving lessons, those are 180 degrees different. It's one thing to have somebody walk in the door and you're talking about their swing mechanics, like do this, try this, I'll see you next week.
Right.
It's another thing to be invested in their process. That's a whole nother.
And that distinction, I think, comes back to when you have good days and bad days where you feel like, man, I just gave a lesson. I really didn't coach that person.
Oh yeah.
And I like you say, you don't. Yeah. The student won't notice that difference.
Yeah.
But when you have a moment where you felt like, oh, I gave a lesson.
Well, that's all. That's the personal part we were talking about earlier. Right. That they don't notice that. What we're talking about, I
can't wait to listen to while I was gone.
Yeah. Did you pee all over yourself?
Maybe. I don't know.
Did you wash and sanitize?
Yeah. I washed my hands.
What we were kind of highlighting is that there's a difference between coaching and giving lessons.
Oh, totally.
like I've always made that distinction with our business. I say it in swinging L's when I meet people, and it probably sounds like a damn tagline. But the point is that like I'm like we don't give tips here. This isn't like a service where you're just like, hey, give me some ideas, and it's like, no, we don't do that shit here.
Yeah,
you're either on board with coaching or not, and that's like. I was telling him, like, maybe it's because my parents are my parents and they just love me. But like my mom, I've told her that, and she's a very inspiration type person, and she draws a huge line and distinguishes those very much so, because coaching and lessons are not the same thing, even though she knows nothing about golf.
I agree.
And it's just like we're invested in people's lives, and that's, obviously learning our own balance is important, but
coaching is diving deeper.
Yeah.
A lesson is fixing the problem of it's like the faucet.
A lesson's a Band-Aid.
Yeah, the faucet's leaking. How do I get the faucet to not leak?
Right.
Which has its like temporary, like good things to like it's okay, but we're just so invested in how people think long term, and that's where the mental side comes in. And to be clear, like there's an equal amount of physical work. We're not like only obsessed about mental game.
Right.
There's a lot of physical work, and like obviously swing plane and body position and posture. There's a lot of talk about that, but it's important to make sure that the person is thinking not just differently, but also better.
Yeah.
For the long term.
Yeah.
That they treat golf differently.
You're diagnosing more than just the golf swing.
Yeah. I mean, to kind of almost like sound a little bit like Steve Jobs, I guess. Like, we don't want to say we're just going to do it better. We're going to do it differently.
Yeah.
And that's inspiring to me, because people need to think that way.
And that's really how we've approached this business, was not to look at other golf businesses, but look at other successful businesses, period.
Yeah.
And like a perfect example was I redesigned our website when we rebranded and hated it. And I was just like, it's the same stuff all over again. And so I went back and just started looking at
the L.
I went back and just started looking at different companies' websites.
Yeah.
Ones that I enjoyed a lot, ones that were more artistic or creative looking.
Yeah.
A lot of them happened to be like restaurants or, artist pages and stuff. And I was like, that's what I'm going to emulate. With no marketing background whatsoever. It was just like, I don't like what I'm looking at. It's not inviting. And that was kind of the, it's a microcosm of what we've done with this entire endeavor of just how do we stand out against our competition outside of customer service and relationship building. What
is the experience that someone has with us down to the website?
Right. Because that's the millennial generation, is we want experiences, not exclusivity.
Yes.
That's the difference between the baby boomer country club stuff and where golf is headed. And we knew, okay, if we want a thriving, surviving business, we better look at the 20 to 50 range, not the 55 and older.
Yes.
And so now it's become, okay, how do we generate an experience here that differs from other instruction?
Yeah.
And when we figured that out, it was just everything started to kind of fall into place.
Yep.
It's impressive.
And the stem of that, like, really, I think, is ultimately realizing that, again, we're super lucky to do what we do. 100%. Our business is not essential.
Just
not.
Nope.
It is to a lot of people, but like on a scale of like how you measure the world, it's just not.
No.
So
we're a luxury.
Like, that means that we have to work our asses off to make it something special.
An experience.
Because otherwise we'll just drift away like all the others.
Yeah. What is essential is that flagstick back on the L. That's for sure. Yeah. We got to get that. Where did it go? Yeah. Yeah.
Credits, by the way, to a buddy of mine, Kenyon Schaefer, who actually designed our logo. And that was through a run of, 20-some logos. And that was third or fourth. And we were like, that's it. We didn't even know why. We're just like, that's cool.
I love it.
Home run. Yeah.
And
we knew we wanted
Kenyon
our color
Schaefer,
scheme.
Yeah, Kenyon Schaefer.
I saw.
He's a college friend of mine.
Is he? I saw, good gosh, Casey Loves Golf.
Yeah.
On Instagram. Yeah, he was wearing the hat on. He was playing the other day, and he was wearing that. That was cool. The first thing I thought of was, that's a cool hat. I know those guys. And then I looked down, and JT had commented, "Nice hat." Nice hat. I was like, that's hilarious.
Oh, the Butsy too.
Yeah.
The Butsy was rocking.
Sent one to Josh. I've followed him now for like 3 or 4 years, and kind of just gotten to know him through social media because he's similar to our age, and I did that design with New Era, and they killed it, and I was like, you know what, cost of a hat, that's not much. I'm just going to send one to the guy that's got high profile, and he loved it, so he wears it all the time, which he doesn't have to. I didn't pay him anything. That's just all.
But this is the
voluntary, So
that's the unbelievably cool side of social media.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
You can connect with people thousands of miles away. And then immediately now their group knows about you.
Yeah.
Like how cool
That's
is
crazy.
That? That's so cool.
Because I did there was him and one other guy who I've gotten to know, Steve Tinoco, who is Paige Sparanik's fiance or husband.
Yeah.
And he's like into photography and stuff. And so we connected because I was like, hey, I just bought a camera this a couple years ago. And I was like, what are you using? What's your insights on this stuff? Like, basically asking any photographer with a camera, like, how do I get good at this? Because I'm a complete novice. And same thing, like just kind of created a relationship there. And Stefan Paige is just such a huge celebrity these days. Like, you're never going to get a conversation with her. But the fact is, he's got that hat. He's wearing it in front of people. And so it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Kind of cool to see our logo in so many different places. Actually, a real quick story. I went back to play Gamble Sands in June of this year when COVID kind of lifted, and it's this brand new golf course done by David McClay Kidd up in Central Washington. And so I'm up there visiting family in Spokane for a few days. I, through Fisham Golf, got a contact to go play Hayden Lake Country Club in Idaho. And went out there, got paired up with just a random lady who's a member and her son who played golf at the University of Wyoming. And I'm wearing my Imperial gear, and we're out there just playing this nice old country club in Idaho. And he's like, where is that logo from? I've seen it before. And I was like, shut up. No, you haven't. And he was like, no, he's like, is that the National? I was like, no, I run a golf facility in Parkville, Missouri. And he was like, oh, okay. He's like, I golf at the National because my roommate in college lives in Liberty.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, and I see that logo every time I go to the National. And I was just internally like, that is amazing. Yes. And I texted
famous,
John,
even though we're not famous.
Like after my round, I was like, I ran into a perfect stranger who recognized our logo in Idaho.
It's a good logo.
Crazy is that?
So, hey,
and we lucked out
branding.
with it. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. And I'm throwing it everywhere I can.
Has he seen the Gripping Golf logo?
I don't know.
Oh,
I wasn't wearing it.
Awkward moment.
Yeah,
I'm
just joking. Yeah.
So the flight was nice.
Yeah.
It was very weird.
Yeah.
Cut.
Yeah. The peanuts were delicious.
Yeah. So how do people get a hold of you? Tell the listeners.
So obviously main thing is imperialgolfkc.com.
Yep.
We do have a phone number, 929-251-4653. It looks like New York, but we're not in New York. It's a Google Voice number. It pairs our phones together.
Nice.
So. But mainly go to imperialgolfkc.com. There's actually form submissions in there, so you can actually direct message us through our website. So if you have any questions or anything like that, obviously social media, you can get contact with us through social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatnot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of the main thing. Thanks to Grip and Golf. You guys are amazing.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
we really appreciate you coming out.
We're trying.
We want to do this more. I mean,
we will. Yeah.
We did it, last year, this year. I wouldn't mind doing a couple a year.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah. Honestly, I think it's great. You guys are fantastic.
Then they're not 3-hour conversations every time.
No, I think we do that. And then,
not that I have anything against
it. Seems like the best way to cut it short would be like whiskey. So
then
Lord.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
Like every transition on subject, we take a shot, and then it's just like
whiskey.
In 30 minutes, we'll be like down.
It's 30 minutes of conversation, 7 hours of nothing. Yeah.
We forgot to hit the stop button.
Yeah, exactly. They've just been sleep. It's like what was the giraffe that kept thinking that we were going to give birth?
Oh man.
What was that giraffe? It was like 3 or 4 years ago at the Kansas City Zoo, not the Kansas City Zoo. It was national, but it was like everyone kept tuning in. Oh, it's they're going to give birth to the new giraffe today, and it was like 3 months later. Finally. That's the episode. Yeah.
Goodness sakes.
Ours is 7 hours. They haven't been talking for the last 5 hours.
Is he dead? He looks dead.
Hey, if they watch the first hour and a half, we're good.
Yeah. Right. I just love that I had to go to the bathroom so bad at the end of this.
We all did.
Oh my gosh.
We all had to go.
I should have.
Yeah.
I should have gone when you guys went, and we should have just
all at the same time.
Yeah. Exactly. And we'll be back. Thank you to our sponsors. Yeah.
This bathroom break is sponsored by Dude Wipe. wipes.
Yeah. What's the bidet thing?
Oh my god.
It's like it attaches to the toilet seat.
The
right.
MeWe is it? No, not MeWe. Oh shoot.
Yeah. I hear it all the time, and now I can't freaking think
This
of
is
it.
how
what
we're
you're
ending
talking
our
about.
podcast.
Yes, this is how we're ending the podcast. Yeah.
I know, because Dax Shepard has it on his, and I can't remember
Tushy.
the name.
Tushy.
Yes,
Yes.
right.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Tushy.
Yeah.
Better than
great.
toilet paper.
Yes.
So.
Well, John.
On that note.
Yeah, John, JT, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Seriously,
man.
you guys are great. And the hospitality of rearranging the simulator room for us to sit here
Oh,
and
it's
do
fun
this.
for us
It
to
was
play
great.
with it.
And beers.
Yeah.
And beers.
And beers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah,
the
cheers.
beers. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Oh, I appreciate it. Well, thank you both.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you.